everyone. Welcome to the Crow's Nest. My name is Brandon Kane, and I appreciate you tuning on in here today. Just a tiny bit late. I'm always a little late today. We've had about one out in here into the bottom of the first inning. Mr. Crawford started this game off with a flurry home run to almost center field from the punitive shortstop for your Seattle Mariners. But we're indeed going to be checking this out here today, hoping our first place Mariners can remain up there in first place. Start to take this thing and maybe run with it, run away with it. Wouldn't that be nice to see? They've been hot as hell. It was a good game again yesterday. Got some great pitching, some great defense, and then you got the timely home runs. And Eugenio Suarez is going to get a little double here as he sends it into the left field wall. Nice job by Eugenio. Mariner offense up and rolling here early on. My last things here kind of set up. Situated. There you go. Everyone's having a good night. Mariners with one out here, who got through the first inning with no runs. A little bit of a threat. We've got another one of the hot hitters in this lineup stepping up to the plate. Teoscar Hernandez hitting .262 with 22 home runs and 76 RBIs on the season. He's really brought things back around from a real slow opening start there. Swing and a miss on a slider there outside of the plate. Quickly 0-2. Everyone's having a good night out there tonight. Another lovely summer evening. Big Country, what's up, man? How you doing? It's good seeing you. William Leonard, what's up? Big Country said I just finished working out. I felt good today. I went out and did a workout myself. Got out there on the basketball court. Got a little bit of a 2-on-2 game. We dominated, man. I was crossing over. Legs felt good. You just be an old man. Sometimes the legs don't feel good on certain days. The legs felt good today. Springy. A lot of fun. Hope you guys are doing good. We got 2-2 count here to Teoscar Hernandez. Pitcher's got a little bit nibbly since getting him into an 0-2 count. Eugenio Suarez on second. Mariners up 1-0. Tobias Larson, how you doing, man? Says, yo, Brando, hope you're doing awesome, my brother. Hashtag go Mariners. Go Mariners. And I'm doing great, man. Teoscar manages to stay alive here. Pulls a pitch down the line, foul. Big Country says, nice. I was working on back and shoulders. I do a little bit of the weight stuff here at home. I've got my own little pull-up, dip bar, some weights. I keep it pretty light at my age now, but I still love my basketball. I just always get nervous when I play on you play the 2-2-on-2, 3-on-3, full court. So some of those young bucks, they like to get a little bit violent out there. It turns into football really quick. Teoscar gets a pitch down the dirt here, so this will be 3-2. And I got whacked a couple times today, but that's just the price you pay when you got the drives like I do. I crossed him over and was going to the dish, and it's bad on a foul when you're playing 2-on-2 and the guy's in the middle of the act of pushing you. Is like, it's a foul. Yes, thank you. Make a play on the ball, man. Teoscar knocks this ball back, stays alive, 3-2. 3-2. Mariners just absolutely the most red-hot team post All-Star break. Absolutely a blue flame of hot heat coming off the back of them. And good vibes, good times rolling, all that. I mean, it's been very impressive. Ooh, Teoscar took a fastball there right at the knees. Looked like he was probably looking for more of a breaking ball there. Eugenio will remain out there on second base, 2 down. Big Country says, oh, definitely. They go hard in those gyms sometimes, man. It gets like game day in there. I was okay when I was 25. I could take the beating. Now I'm older now, and a guy got me today too, right across the face on one. I was like, oh man, all right. It wasn't too bad, but it's just, the ball's up here. 0-1 count here to tie France. Swing and a miss. I like Teoscar quickly getting himself into a 0-2 hole here. You'd love to go through this series at home. 3-game run with an A's team that's getting through to the end of a long season. France batting it back foul. Young kids, not a lot to play for right now. You got something to play for. You'd love to go through this particular series. Frankly, even a series like the Mets too, where you go and steal all 3 of those games. And it's tough to be trying to aspire for sweeps. And it's not required, because the bottom line does come down to that. Those final 3 series at the end will dictate what's what and where's where. But you could give yourself some breathing room going into that last series. That wouldn't be too bad. 0-2 count here with Ty France. Moeller the wine. He goes up high. Good eye. Good eye by Ty. Pump it there. Everything's good there. Make sure my stuff's all set. We're going to have a hell of a stream schedule here. So we get this team, if this team gets in playoffs. We try to do as many of these as I possibly can. Swing and a miss there by France. Swung right over the top of a breaking ball there. Might have been a slider. He slid him. So strike 3, but Crawford, boy, what a year for Croft. 267, and he just knocked his 12th ding-dong. You getting this from a guy who gives you definitely plus defense at the shortstop position, and you're getting guys hitting for decent average, especially considering the rest of your lineup at times throughout this year. And then he's also giving you kind of some of that untold pop too. They told us he was going to be better this year with the back not as much affecting him, and that he was going to be 100% healthy. And indeed, he does look 100% healthy. And that contract extension that he's under looks all that much better as we go into the future here. And you've got to be, lauding DePoto on that deal at this point. Smart money spent, and he's rewarding him for it. 12 home runs this year with Crawford. That's from your leadoff. Not bad. Big countries, the Rangers just won. Astros and Jays about to win. Got to keep pace then. Yeah, Houston 11-4. 11-4. Texas 4-3 for the Mets. See, they beat up on that Mets team. That's what we got to do too. It's kind of where you get this point in time. We get the especially September 1st, right? You have the final call-ups where they can expand the rosters. So you get a lot of these teams that are not good teams. They then bring up these players that are fringe Major League Baseball players, or guys that are just so young and green. They're not expecting really anything out of them. They're just trying to give them a cup of coffee in Major League Baseball before, they try to have them come back around to spring training next year and really make a push for it. So you should be able to kind of hopefully jump on that a bit. If you are a team that is in the thick of it and you got all guns are blazing, so to speak. And right now the Mariners do sit in that position here. But you got to take care of business. Brian Wu now here is going to start out the second inning with a ball. Wu, 1 strikeout and a hit there in the first inning. Outside again there. A little bit outside. Eden Tech World, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. I think we'll be doing an afternoon stream tomorrow too, by the way, folks. During the cut downs. Well, Blue gave him a little bit of a call there on that strike on the outside plate, part of the plate. Well, maybe he licked the edge. Foul back, 2-2. Y2K, how'd we score? Crawford. Crawford dumped one out to kind of center right fieldish, more to the center than the right field. His power's been impressive this year. He's done that a couple times this year too, I think. Going for Ricky Henderson's record. 2-2 count. Woo with the wind. And delivery to Kemp. He gets high. Ball 3. Y2K, this is another JP home run. He can get to 15. He indeed could. He indeed really could. And very impressive to get that, along with you're getting the sort of traditional, really, really good shortstop play too. Oh, Woo got him. Woo got him. Kemp was looking for something else, and Woo put it right down there on Main Street. That might have been a change. Is that what that was? Dang, there's a 4-seam fast. I can't see on the strike thing. It looked like a change there. But got him looking. Nice pitch there by Woo. He was pumped up. Good to see. But JP, he has been impressive. And so needed. We needed his production this year and what he's given us from the shortstop position. Swing and a miss there. Strike 1. Buddha says, I'm so glad they didn't move JP out of the leadoff spot when he came back from that concussion, even though Julio was on fire playing leadoff. Agreed, Voodoo. Agreed. I like Julio's got the legs that he has, but JP gives you a little bit more of what you need to get to me from a leadoff guy. There's a couple things with this. The number one is just he'll take the pitches. He'll eat a little bit more into the counts at times. I kind of like that part of it. Julio's such a free swinger back there. Knocked foul here, 1-2. Nice pitch there by Woo. He's doing a good job of staying on the corners pretty good here in this inning. But Croft, I'm glad they didn't move him as well. There really wasn't the guy that was you could go and make the move for at shortstop out there. There were some shortstops available, which is why they were going to make the move to second base. But you didn't like those moves really that much. They might have improved the team a little bit, but you just couldn't. Nothing was probably as good as just not letting him sit there and try to find a different angle on it. 1-2 count here to Langoliers. Outside, ball 2. Ethan says, been working at the ballpark the past several days in a row. My feet are very fatigued from standing so long. It's brutal. Ethan, get some of those shoals. Get some of those Dr. Scholl's in your feet. We got a low 3-2. So back-to-back batters here with 3-2 count. Those will save your life on that stuff. They're worth the investment, though. You're sit on that concrete. It's not going to get any easier on that. So you just gotta get those feet sitting in little nice soft pillows. Swing and a miss on a nasty slider. Swept through the zone, way off the plate. You get a guy to swing at a pitch that's 2 feet away from him. That'll definitely do. So both batters back to back. Well, when he struck the one out in the zone, then he just got him to whiff on that one. Nice pitch. He's got some good movement, and the fastball's getting spotted up pretty nicely from Moo here early on. He's not on it with his control. You can see a little bit of it wildly still kind of going. He's not quite locked in yet to the rhythm of it, but when he's overall looking good. Not a lot of missing middle of the plate, and this ball will be knocked on the ground to the second baseman, who will pick it up and throw him out to first base. Ethan, you're not working in there tonight? Did they give you the night off tonight? Big Country, I hope JP is this player for the next few years. It's closer to what he was supposed to be as a prospect. I'd love to see that too. I know we have the shortstop in our system, but that can so easily be moved to a third base guy, especially if that's still a guy that's still a couple years out. You can ride another year with Eugenio on his contract. And you can kind of just have that as the long-term plan. I mean, that would be really nice to me as a hopeful way to let that go this route. But yeah, he's definitely being more realized to what they thought he was going to be. And I mean, his defense has been sensational. He gives you the speed on the base paths. He takes pitches. He's not an easy strikeout. He's a lot of what I talk about we need more of in this lineup, frankly. Where with the ballpark you play in, you need these kind of players. Less of just the home run hitters. And he's a lefty, which helps mix the lineup a little bit. Julio, Suarez, Hernandez, France. You're going through 4 straight righties at that point. Is Tom Murphy hurt? Is that where we're getting O'Keefe tonight? Y2K, I've sold soda in the first. I've sold soda in the past up and down the aisles is mega fun, and you make some pretty good money if you're not looking for anything serious when you're younger. Hey, it's a good thing to do. Do it when you're younger, because you can't do it when you're older. So man, you don't get to do the fun stuff when you're older. You got to get to do it when you're young, man. You got to do it. William says, did I see that Colt McCoy was cut today? I did. Man's been 3-0 against the Seahawks anytime he's played him, so hallelujah. 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 I'm very happy that there's no more Colt McCoy. And let's be honest with each other here at this point, William. The Cardinals are firmly 100% in the mold of tanking. Bottom of the second, ball 1 here on the first pitch. Dylan Moore up to the plate. Ball 2, inside. Ethan says, if I was as good a pitcher in the real life as I am in the MLB The Show, I'd be a Cy Young Award winner. I wonder if it helps teach like guys with really, prospect arms, if they could go on there and learn like pitch sequencing and all that other stuff, Probably not, because it all comes down to like the advanced scouting reports dictating where they're going to go with these pitches anyway. They essentially make them do where they want them to do it on what count, what pitch. 3-0 here to Dylan Moore. He is going to take outside for ball 4. 4-pitch walk from Mueller. Muller. The Mule Muller. But I was glad to see that Colt McCoy was gone, William, and they're firmly in the boat of tanking. I mean, there's no doubt at this point. They're not even announcing their starting quarterback yet for the opening year. They're going to do everything they can to try to get to that Caleb Williams pick. And I thought it slightly a couple months ago, but now I'm 100% on this. I'm 100% bought into this Conspiro. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going all in on it. Dominic Canzone up to the plate now. Takes a first pitch strike. Canzone's hit safely in 12 of 19 games since coming over the Mariners in the trade. Foul back 0-2. Even says I worked before the game started. Oh, okay. I guess they need to set up and stuff. That makes sense. Oh, and 2 count here with Dominic. And the Mariners have caught Dylan Moore in a pickoff. It looks like they caught him leaning there. They were seeing him doing something, maybe getting that extra step of a lead or something. Yeah, he pulled off the old lefty. I used to be really good with that. When you're a lefty and you can, you rise up at the top of your lift, and you have something right-handed pitchers don't have, which is that extra time. If you're really good with your balance, you can almost be watching that guy right up to the moment there, and if he's not leaning back to the bag a little bit as you're going into your windup, you can then take the step over to the bag and throw the guy out. And if you've got the windup like this guy does, and this ball is hit up in the air foul from Canzone, it'll remain 1-2. If you've got this guy's kind of windup, which is I'll show you guys. Let me do a representation. I used to be a pitcher. I can show you guys what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to show you a couple of windups here as I talk about this, and we'll do some play-by-play as we're going through. Okay. So if I come set, Canzone hits this up in the air, high and deep. This ball is carrying deep at the wall. It's going to bounce into the back of the stands for a double here from Canzone, who continues to blister the ball. Since becoming a Seattle Mariner, I'm a man's the Canzone. I like the calzone, and I like the hit of the doubles up into the outer field. Okay, so you're a pitcher and you come and set as a lefty, and I was lefty too on this. And this is so hard because the righties have no option to do this. But you come set, and you're looking over at the first base bag like I'd be looking at right here. And then you come up here, okay? So the leg comes up here, and I can technically sit here and watch you from here and then come on down and go through, right? So at all times, I have that. When I raise that leg up, I can choose to come back over here to you and throw you off. And so as you as a base runner, like we saw with Dylan Moore there, you don't even have to really be trying to go for the steal. You know, you can just be taking your secondary lead and trying to just make sure you're being aggressive in that approach of things, and I'll get you. You have to be taking a step back to the bag on those lefties, because we'll come up there like this. You know, try to read what I'm going to do, if I'm going to come to the bag or if I'm going down to the plate. Watch this here. Try to read it. Okay, watch it again now. And then I throw over to you. And it's really, at the end of the day, it's a balk. Lefties are getting the chance to balk. But why they're getting the opportunity to balk on that play is because it's an impossibility from the umpire to read it. There's no chance you can figure out what I'm doing there, especially if you're good with it. And you can see, like with this guy's windup as a lefty, watch as that leg goes naturally back up into that kind of pull position, and then he can just very easily slide it over to first base. This ball's hit up into the air by Caballero. Center fielder's up with it. He'll make the grab and hold the runner there at second. So, am I going to home or am I coming to throw you guys out of first base? You tell me, you guys. Which am I doing? Make the call here now. It's hard to read. It's tough to read. It's why you'll often see it's very hard to actually, it's very hard to steal on lefties because of that, because you can't get the secondary lead. So you really can't challenge them off that when they go into that windup. You have to basically remain a little more stagnant, a little longer, closer to the bag, and then release into your stolen base, or just try to guess it, which is not a good proposition because I can watch all the way. I don't need to look at my catcher's mitt all the way down there. I can be staring at you all the way I'm in my windup. I'm looking right into your damn soul. Looking right into your damn soul the whole way. And then I can look back to the bag. I can look back to my catcher's mitt at the last second, which is just another thing that holds them. Lefties, that's why they call us crafty, man. That's why they call us crafty. It is the definition of it. Definition. Voodoo says, I wonder if Ric Flair gets paid a royalty every time they used his woo. Probably. And that will be a strikeout here on 3 straight pitches to end the inning. Not awesome there from the bottom of the lineup is O'Keefe. Missing a little bit of Tom Murphy's presence here tonight, as it does sound like from the chat he is injured. And that hurts. That's a guy that's a legitimate stick for you in the lineup when he is out there. Sector 7 says, got Sundays and Mondays off for football season. Totally stoked. Hell yeah, Sector 7. You picked a good year to get that all set up and aligned, man. So I love to hear it. I hate when a Seahawks fan is forced to work on Sundays. I've been there myself at times in the far, far past, and it would drive me crazy, and I'd be annoyed and irritable, and whatever task I was being asked to do, other than getting to watch my team play football, I was not doing it well. Oh, he's back in a week? Okay, that's good. At least he's back. We're going to need him. Raleigh's had a good number of games caught this year. We've leaned on him pretty heavily, and we're going to need to keep this guy fresh down the stretch. YGK, is StatCast for defense just worthless? It has JP as the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. It might just be because he made a ton of effing errors. Yeah, I mean, the errors may be the thing that they're clipping him for. You know, like an interception is going to ding a quarterback on a PFF grade big. But he's also just made so many plays where he's been on it, and he's taken so many hits away, and he's been clutch with his defense at times. It feels like there's so many games where he's come in and we needed a play made to close something off, and he's just gotten to some ball that he shouldn't have gotten to. You know, and it could be too that I'm just thinking sample size, or I'm just doing that thing fans do sometimes where I'm thinking about the big great moments and I'm not thinking enough about those down moments defensively, but he certainly, to me, doesn't look like the worst defensive shortstop in baseball. I'm with you, though, Big Country. My eyes tell me he's a good... I like the metrics. I like the analytics. I really do, and I have a hard time arguing against it when it comes to baseball or basketball, for that matter, because it is a little bit more... It's a little bit more solidly built on ground than the football's analytics, which are still developing. Woo out here for the third inning, first pitch swinging and knocked foul. But he's good enough to me out there by my eye test. And really, at the end of the day, if he does go down a little bit shortstop-wise, you do eventually always have the option of going and moving him to second base. And you then get a plus defender at second base at that point, whatever you choose to do. You can't really lose, but it's really the stick from him being alive like it is and doing what it's doing and drawing walks like he does and taking working counts like he does. Being a strong leadoff hitter. I love the fact he gives us a glove. That's what gives him the extra added value to it. But you did slide him to second base on that note because of that. That's fine. But he still doesn't look that bad to me. Worst, that's harsh. Worst? Like the worst? Like 32? Y2K says unless that foot crosses the other leg, then it's Balk City. I'm telling you, I played baseball through a variety of leagues up through to high school, and the umpires can't, base hit up over the right side here on an 0-2 count. I never got called for one balk. Not one. And it's been years since I pitched, so I'm not as able to make it look undistinguishable between my windup to one. But even doing that, it's pretty undistinguishable. But never got called a balk, and I must have picked off probably freaking 100 guys from Little League up through high school with the move. Just it's deadly as a deal with lefties, and they just can't tell. Like, you're right about the rules with it, Y2K, but they just can't differentiate when they see it. This ball down the ground. 1-0. Y2K says a positive point for StatCast on defense. It did hate Jesse Winker on defense really hard. Well, he got that broken clock, you know what I mean? Twice a day. All right, Brian Wu here. Nobody out. Runner on first. Top of the third. Mariners up 1-0. Comes set. A's show bunt there. Pulls it back. 2-0. Ethan, if a player is stealing second base, I've never understood why the player catching the throw can stand right over the base. Sometimes their front foot is in front of the base. Just seems so dangerous. Yeah, I agree. They let him do it, though. He is going to bunt this. Wow. Okay. Interesting decision by the A's. I mean, I guess that's their 9-hole hitter, so... Okay. Don't get me wrong, I like small ball, but we're in the second inning, and you've got a Mariner lineup that's been offensively crushing it recently. I don't know if as an A's coach coming into this game, I'm going, yeah, we'll squeeze out a two-run win on this one. Y2K says, I got called for 7 balks in one game. Are you a righty, Y2K, or are you a lefty? It tends to be a righty problem. That's why I ask. It tends to be an issue where righties have some issue with it. I don't know why. You guys got a tick or something there when you get on the hill. I don't know what it is. What's up, Megan? How you doing? She says, B, Chief Brody arrived at his desk. Arrived at his desk. I see I worded that, Megan. High ball one here. We're struggling a little bit with his control here in the third inning here to begin things. Just a bit. Chief Brody arrived and is on my desk, is what I meant to say. Not Chief Brody's at his desk. 1-1 count here. Ryan Noda up to the plate. Leadoff hitter here for the A's. He bounces it foul. 1-2. I was like the only guy that could throw a righty, but it was all for not being set. That's what I'm saying. I know how this goes. It's not just you, man. Righties have if you looked at NFL, if you look at Major League Baseball, I would bet like 80% of the time balks have been called against right-handed pitchers. It's just a weird right-handed thing. Look at Brian Wu. Guy's got to do like 10 tippy taps on the mound just coming set. You know, you righties have all these like little like ticks and stuff. You like sign yourself the Catholic way and then sign yourself the Protestant way and then tap your little toes and then go through all your stuff. Us lefties, we come set and we're bringing it. You're getting the pitch. You know? Megan says, we'll send you pictures. Sounds good, Megan. Nice to hear you got Chief Brody looking over you. Keeping an eye out. 2-2 pitch here from Brian. Woo! Foul back. Maybe it's a fair use thing, you know? And technically, if I just have some other guy who sounds like Ric Flair go woo, then I don't have to pay Ric Flair, right? Like, he doesn't just get, anytime anybody ever says woo in public, he gets paid for it. Feels like a gray area. 2-2 pitch here. Low. Three and two count. One man out. Woo comes set. Swing! And a miss right over the top of a gnarly little slider. That will set him down for 2 men out. 2 men down. Bottom dropped out of that slider. We're definitely getting his pitch count up here early on. Already up to 38 pitches. Every count's gone kind of deep. Zach Geloff. Well, this helps. First pitch swing, knocks it over to Eugenio, and he will throw France out over there at first base. So Brian Wu, 3 innings of work, no runs, couple hits here, but nobody getting on through, and that is what matters most. Mariners maintain their 1-0 lead. Y2K says, I win a cool scoreboard for Mariner games if Ken Zone has the hardest hit Mariner ball today. Cool scoreboard. Nice. Hi, boy. He's getting it done. Got to give the guy props. And I don't know. He'll come close. Him and JP have got the 2 hardest ones probably. But he's such a kind of thinly put together guy, isn't he? He's not what you necessarily think about when you're like outfield body type. He does not have 2 tickets to the gun show. He's still waiting on his tickets in the mail. Sean Lee, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Sector 7 says, does signing Otani make us World Series favorites? I feel like it does. I was listening to the end of yesterday's game stream, and you had mentioned he could be a bullpen arm next year. Yeah, if we you could ask this question kind of in 2 different versions, Sector 7, where you could ask it from the standpoint of, does Shohei Otani make us a World Series favorite just by his signing, just with his bat and glove in the outfield? Yes. Does he also make us a World Series favorite as a bat and a glove in the outfield if he's also willing to either come out of the bullpen or start an occasional game if you need him to? Yeah, absolutely. But the bat is the part that you need most. And he does bring also the speed on the base paths. He gives you the power with the ability to draw a walk and be patient at the plate. You're not adding another bat in this lineup that's just going to be a strikeout city, which is all these things are kind of direly needed. But yes, you have the best bullpen and you have the best starting rotation in baseball, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, it's only getting stronger. This ball's bounced up at the plate here, 1-0. Crawford back up to the dish after hitting a big fly in his first at bat. And snarls this one, smokes it right out to the right field for a base hit. Crawford still rolling and going. But you've got the best, no one can argue right now this is the best rotation in baseball, I don't think. And then it's getting stronger. The bullpen, one of the best in baseball. and not going anywhere most likely, even though bullpen's hard to judge year to year because it's so combustible. But that's why we got the Los Bomberos. Julio Rodriguez up to the plate now here with Crawford on first. Julio takes a strong hack at that fastball there and just kind of misses it. He was all over it. Rocking kind of a mauve bat tonight. Julio hitting .281 with 23 bombs on the season. It's a good time for a Julio bomb here. Outside, ball one. But then you add on to that, then if we look at where the defense is, I think you'll be adding basically plus gloves all across the board on the team. And yeah, and you got Otani in there and what he brings. And then there's the other things with what Otani does. Because now what Otani allows you to do is take some of the pitching that you might have, not for him to necessarily fill up a starting rotation spot, but even just some guys that may not be guys like a Robbie Ray that have a lot of value, but then somebody will have some value to him. Like, well, we could put that guy in as our fourth rotation, and maybe you guys take up half the remaining salary. You can find some creative ways to kind of put some packages together. 2-1 pitch here to Julio. Good job getting this count worked in his favor. And again, takes a smack on this one, hits it out into right field. This thing's going to get to the wall. The outfielder slowly up with it. Crawford is flying around third base, and he is going to get home and score. Mariners will take a 2-0 lead. There's the benefit to just getting an account drawn into your favor where you can then look for your pitch. And he just missed. They were trying to pitch him low and away there early in the bat, just missed it on the first pitch and then came back on that one and laced it out into right field. And Crawford, good piece of base running there, running hard the whole time. Not like Ty France yesterday, who was looking like a tortoise coming around third base. And out of breath as well. Ty catching strays tonight. Strays, I tell you. But then you trade those other pitchers and you can go get more hitting on top of this Spectre 7. His presence here allows you to then free up other assets to go make other moves to reinforce and make them even stronger. Even that much more of a, to me, World Series favorite. Ball. I mean, if they're not at that point, someone's going to have to explain what they need to add on top of it to be so at that point. Best rotation, probably near the best bullpen, one of the better defenses you'll find. And now they've constructed one of the more deadly lineups that you're going to find out there. There's probably not going to be another lineup in Major League Baseball that's going to hit more home runs than the Seattle Mariners with that lineup. That alone, at least. Math adds up to me. Julio, amidst another 13-game hitting streak, kid has just been money since the All-Star break. Inside, that ball gets away. Julio's going to get himself down to third on the passed ball, and that is very big here as we got nobody out. So Julio now on third base with a 3-0 count to Eugenio Suarez. I bet Suarez has got the. I give Suarez the green sign here. Let him swing away. He's a fly ball hitter anyway. He'll just if he hit, he'll still get something on it. He's got low and inside, ball 4. Great eye there by Eugenio. That pitch was fairly close into the zone. So first and third, nobody out. A chance for the Mariners to blow this game open here with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the third inning. Inspector, I think bullpen is the thing that makes the most sense with Otani in the future. Because I think his days of starting, this is the second Tommy John surgery. He gets to decide this. He can dictate and say, I can make it work. I can stay healthy enough. Okay. If he insists on it, I'm not going to say no to it. As he's showing right now, he can have this injury and still bat. So, if he does it a third time, like, all right. But the bullpen thing makes a lot of sense where he still gets to get his little fix in of pitching, having an impact, but he doesn't have to go out there and throw a 7 to 8 8-inning, thing while he's also having to hit and run base. No. Yeah. That stuff can kind of only last for so long. I feel like he's going to probably make his judgment on. I got to do kind of one thing on this now in light of this a little bit. Inside, ball 1. The A's pitching coach tried to come out there and talk to Mueller a little bit, make sure they're on the same page. Mueller. Keep calling him Mueller for some reason. We got Mariners with first and third and nobody out. Teoscar Hernandez, another one of the Mariners in this lineup, swinging a hot bat. He puts a nice ride into this one. It's drifting into the gap, and it's going to get down. Boy, that A's center fielder is... He didn't... Center fielder did not go hard on that one. I don't know. Maybe he just misjudged that ball. It was hit off the end of the bat, so it could have just been it was sort of drifting away. The center fielder took a very, very strange route to that ball, though, for the A's. I don't know. Maybe he almost kind of went around it, to get around back to, and maybe just anticipating it was going to get down and he didn't have a chance to get there. Let me just put it this way. Julio gets to that ball. But we'll take it. Second and third now. Mariners get another score on the board, 3-0. Ball bounced in the dirt here. Ball 1. Sorry, first and second. On second and third. Y2K, do I give Teoscar Hernandez the qualifying offer? You can give it to him, but he's just going to turn it down. He's going to get a much better offer on the open market. And I don't really like the thought of signing Teoscar at this point. I love the season he's having, and he's been what we hoped he was going to be. But he is getting older, and those are the kind of contracts you get into that you end up really regretting because you're really just paying for past performance and not what the guys are going to be in the future. I'm worried about that with Teoscar. It's one more reason like Shohei sounds better. Inside. 2-1 now to tie France. If Ty can get himself with a pitch to hit here. Off the end of the bat, foul. Voodoo says Tio is low-key on fire. He is, man. He's got that average up to 263. And he had to climb. He had to climb like Julio. They had to climb kind of up out the hole they started in this year and deep into the year where it wasn't just going to be like, well, that was just a few at-bats at the first month. You're a couple months into the season having to dig it out. But they've done so. Those guys have been tremendous. 2-2. Down in the dirt, 3-2. Mariners making Mueller work here this inning. Always good to start to get into a bullpen at the start of a series very early on. Earlier the better. And I love giving Brian Wu a little bit of breathing room here. Big Country says Ruiz is the worst center fielder in baseball, so I'm not surprised. Laughing out loud. Holy crap. That was... Ty France rakes this out into left field. And he hit it so hard on a line that the Eugenio couldn't get in from second base on the base hit. But Ty France absolutely chopped that thing out into left field. That tree has been fallen. Mariners are going to have the bases loaded, nobody out. 3-0 lead. Bottom of the third inning. 3-3-3. Y2K says, yeah, there's like 0 hitters to sign. I will say I will go to Teoscar because of the scarcity situation. If Otani's not going to be in play, I would pivot pretty quickly. I mean, I just go to Otani and I go, look, you don't need any whining and dining. You're a grown-ass man. 1-0 count here to Dylan Moore. Strike, 1-1. Gives him a little bit of a call there on the outside part of the plate. You go to Otani and be like, look, we're into you. We know you're into us. So let's not do this teenager game here. Let's not mess about. Dylan Moore hits this one foul. 1-2. Come on, Dylan. Get him Good. You can see Dylan trying with that swing to send the ball out there to right field. So he's trying to do the right thing here. No strikey outy, no double plays though, buddy. Come on. Let's blow the lid off this game. Let's put this young bad A's team away very early. 2-2. Far outside there. Muller's definitely laboring here a little bit. We had a little bit of this going on too last inning. Just couldn't quite find himself, feel his pitches, feel where he wanted to get the ball. Between like one pitch locked in, next pitch kind of out and away. 2-2. Puts this one right over the middle of the plate. It's going to be a double play ball potentially. Dylan Moore is going to try to run it out, but he is going to be safe. Very important run out there by Dylan Moore to get safe. It was a very close play. The A's are obviously going to look at this again, but a good job by Dylan Moore to hustle. That looked like your garden variety double play ball right there. And Dylan is able to get on it. Yep, good call, good call. And now this is big, of course, because you get the run score, 4-0. Runner goes to third base. Dylan's on first, and you still only have one out and a chance to, even on a sac fly here, get 5 runs on the board here in the third inning. So, Sector 7 says, yeah, I was thinking that center fielder is playing lazy. Can we blame him? I can't, but I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw it. That's all I'm saying. That was a woof. That was a woof play right there. Like, he gets back in the dugout as if I'm a manager, I'm pulling him to the side, and I'm telling him that effort's not acceptable around here. You know, you could have gotten to that ball. You started running at the end of that fly ball. You didn't start running hard. You ran at the end. And you can talk to me all day about misjudging it, but get your butt to the ball, and then you can decide where your judgment needs to be on whether it's dropping on you or you've got extra time to just kind of hang out there and let it get to you, which is sort of what he was thinking a little bit when the ball was first hit. He wasn't thinking it was trailing away. But that's an effort thing. You don't like effort things on baseball fields. Gar says, is Major League like NFL where players don't want bad film out there? I don't think it's quite like that. Because there's so many more games played, Garth, there's a chance for, if you have bad film, I didn't run this out, I didn't do that, it gets lost in the shuffle of all the games and the innings. So there's a little bit of an easier way for things. Whereas everything in football feels so important. Every quarter important, every game important. That just puts a bigger spotlight, I think, on these type of things than you get with baseball. It's more forgiven. Megan says, you'd take Otani even with the Tommy John B? Why? I don't need him to be a starting pitcher in here for us, Megan. We've got the best starting pitching in baseball. Not only do we have the best, but it's all just a group of young guys with the exception of Castillo, who you have locked up for years to come. So you don't need him to do the starting pitching stuff, really. And frankly, with him having the second Tommy John surgery, he's not likely to want to, I don't believe, at the very least, I don't think he's going to want to look to, and that's strike 3 to can zone. That's a horrible strikeout there, caught looking. Just thinking Muller was going to throw him something else. And you really want there after what more to just, he goes right into the dugout. He's going to go slam something and kick something. That's a brutal strikeout there, though. Especially to get caught looking. Get caught looking. Get the bat off the ball. Get near the zone. Strike. Jose Caballero up to the plate now. 0-1. Muller seems to have kind of found back into his. He's gone back into his rhythm here a little bit. So I'm not looking to have him start. I don't need to have him do that. I need him to hit, play the outfield. Even just a DH is fine. You're getting one of the best bats in all of Major League Baseball at that point. So the Tommy John surgery doesn't really affect that. Tommy John's really exclusively something that's just a problematic thing for his pitching as much as anything. 0-2 count here to Jose Caballero. Muller trying to limit the damage. And they've got another pickoff here. What the hell is that? Why didn't he throw it? So they had Dylan Moore caught in a pickoff, but then the first baseman just decided not to throw it, I guess because they didn't think that they thought the guy was going to come home and score if they did, Teoscar Hernandez. But Teoscar had already bounced back to third base. He wasn't going to try to come home. Strange decision there. Why even run the pickoff play? Caballero stays alive, batting the ball foul. T.O. might not get what you think he's going to get. 105 WRC plus, wrong side of 30, bad defense, corner outfield. Those guys grow on trees. Maybe not. I'm thinking the scarcity part that I talked about is going to factor into this. And I don't know how many guys, 30 or not, that are coming off a season like he is that will be on the open market as an outfielder. There wasn't a lot of them last year. You know, like we had to make the trade to get Teoscar. So, I mean, there wasn't a Teoscar or Hernandez out there on the market last year to really go grab. Not really. Maybe there's an infielder you could have found with similar production points, but you might be right. And I'm okay to pivot back to him if it's realistic costs and you can't get Shohei. I don't mind going that route. You don't have to be pulled of any of your prospects then to accommodate that. And now you can use some of those extra prospects you might have down the line here to start making these trades as you're more of a series contender, more of a real true front runner team. Those are now opened up to make. If you can get those kind of players, you can get for kind of not free, but free in the respect it doesn't cost you anything. And Caballero is going to strike out here. So Mariners make some noise, pressure Muller well, but you would love to get a little bit more out of it than that. 4-0 here through 3 innings of play. Megan, why not a starter? Why waste the money in the spot? No, he's a starter, Megan. Starter in the outfielder. Starter is a DH. Just not a starting pitcher. It's just the term you use in baseball. If you say starter, you mean starting pitcher. So it's a shorthand way of saying that. But no, it's you. I don't think he gets as much money from any of these teams in the league if he's not going to be a starting pitcher. I'm going to anticipate he's not going to want to continue to be a starting pitcher because not many starting pitchers get through one Tommy John surgery, much less to get through 2 of them and still expect to be pitching well and hoping your arm's going to hold up in the long term. You have to be kind of a fool to think that that's going to work. And it's much more, I'm getting older, let me pick a lane. I think he picks hitting. And then, Megan, you get one of the best hitters in baseball, if not the best hitter in baseball at that point. So, yeah, if that's all I use him for, I don't know what you mean by if that's all. If all he is a starting out right fielder who gives me great defense and is one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's a left-hander who would fit well in this park, you'll have to explain why that's a no to you for you on that. He's the only player in baseball, Megan, that plays both ways. So that's not a normal thing that guys do. And like I said, you're not going to pay for his pitching. You'll be paying for his hitting, and you'll pay a big cost for that hitting. But he's not just a hitter. He can play defense. He's not just he'll play a lot of DH probably within that too, but you'll still have him out in the outfield as well. White cases, I'm really interested in Canzone's ceiling. Is he only 100-ish at bats in his career? I think that's something like that. I'll take a look. Statistically speaking. Yeah, 100 bats. A mere 100. You were on it with that one, man. Right at it. 1-0 count here for Brian Wu to start things off in the top of the 4th inning. 2-0 now. Wu with 4 strikeouts here through 3 innings, 2 hits. A lot of movement on his pitches. Big Country Marlowe's nice too, but I don't find his success sustainable. No, I don't either. This ball's hit up in the air to Julio. He's right underneath it, and that'll be out number 1. Somebody saying the Yankees could do it? Maybe the Yankees could. One thing with that is that does he want to go play all the way out in the East as a Japanese player? You know, that almost doubles the time to get back home. I've wondered if that might be a part that factors into this a bit. Joe Stevens says Sconers. First pitch swinging by Rooker. He sends us up into the right field area. Teoscar Hernandez is there and underneath it, and quickly 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Megan says, how can he be the best hitter with a Tommy John? What's interesting with this is that he is able to not be diminished as a hitter as with the Tommy John injury. He can still swing the bat just every bit as good as he could prior. He's a right-handed pitcher and a left-handed hitter, which helps with that. But based off of what I've been hearing and told with that, that's not an issue or a problem. And he would get the Tommy John stuff done and be okay with that, and he'd still be able to be ready with that then to go hit even as he's recovering from that. And it wouldn't diminish him as a hitter. So... we got a no one count to Tony Kemp. Nice pitch by Wu there, right at the knees. 0-2. Wu's starting to feel his stride here. That 4-0 lead's got to feel nice. It always feels so good as a pitcher. You got a little bit of that lead to work with. You feel like you got the breathing room, a little bit of room for air. Megan says, it's a hell no for me. That money, no matter where you have him. Okay, I take your point about his pitching, but sorry, B, just don't think he's worth it. But I don't know who I'd want to have instead. Well, that's got to be the part of this that we got to look at too, right? Bounced on the ground, a second baseman who is up with it, and he'll throw it out to Ty France. 1, 2, 3. Brian Wu sailing along here through 4 innings nicely. And we'll go to the bottom of the 4th. These questions are never, as I always like to say, Megan, in a vacuum. And so when you make a decision, it's not just based upon, what's this guy, yes or no. It's also, okay, what is the market like? What's the availability mark? And this team has had a very hard time looking in recent years of going and finding hitters. And now you can find this hitter that is going to be one who fits well to the park, fits well to what you need, and he's going to be able to play outfield as well, Megan. He's good in the outfield with his defense. That's the other part of this. So he's a plus defender outfield-wise. You're getting a starting player. And the Tommy John surgery stuff comes into play because he's throwing pitches and he's being a starting pitcher. If he was just a hitter, that wouldn't be an issue anymore because he's not going to be putting the kind of strain on his arm that he's putting on right now. So there's not really the worry of the effect of injury into the future. Yeah, the oddity with him, Megan, and you can look, I'd offer you, Megan, go look this up with Shohei on the injury, but he's not diminished by the Tommy John thing on the hitting. I understand that doesn't make sense on the surface of it, but just there's like dozens of news stories out there talking about the fact that he's able to hit and be fine with hitting, even with the injury that he sustained. But he's going to get it fixed too, and it's not something that's going to permanently keep him down. He's a hard worker. He'll get back as quick as possible, and then that's why you just roll them with the hitting. And then it's not as much of an issue. It's going to pop again because he's not pitching. You don't see a lot of position players getting Tommy John surgery. Y2K says, don't quote me on this because I don't have the stat totally remembered, but in the past few weeks, the Mariners have had the highest WRC plus from second base in baseball. Ooh. Well, Rojas has been awesome. So he's been kind of on fire over there. Caballero's been all right. He's come back down to earth after he got kind of burst onto the scene. All right, O'Keefe up to the plate. Catching in for Cal Raleigh today with Tom Murphy a little bit beat up. Starting this inning off. Muller is at 70 pitches here for the game. So we'll be dipping into this A's bullpen probably within the next couple of innings minimum. Swinging a miss by O'Keefe. He's looking like he's going to have his second strikeout here. Greatest of bats. Megan says, sorry, B, I don't agree, but respect you and your opinion as always. I appreciate that, Megan. No worries. Gavin says, I'm the best player on earth, in my opinion. Yes. Oh, goodness. Try to get my allergies going today. Please. Gavin says Bryce Harper's been tearing it up shortly off of Tommy John. There we go. So Megan, I guess the problem here with you're saying surgery does not equal back to where you were. Ask me how much, shoulder and ankle. I get where you're coming from on that. I think it's hard to necessarily relate that exactly to this. The problem with your argument there is that he's had Tommy Lee John before. Okay. So this is where we get to that consistency part of things that I always like to be in. I'm a consistency guy. You think one thing, then you got to consistently think about it another thing if that's where your mindset's at. So Shohei has the Tommy Lee John already before this. He comes back from that Tommy Lee John and looks like the best baseball pitcher in baseball and the best hitter in baseball. That's after that surgery. So that sort of defunds your argument. That sort of he's not going to be able to come back as strong. Well, why? He came back as strong before. What's caused this Tommy Lee to happen, what's caused the second point of this to occur, much like the first one to occur, is there's too much wear and tear here. The reason that you don't have, 50 Major League Baseball players across the board, both pitching and hitting, despite the fact that I bet that there's a lot of hitters in this league that can probably pitch really well, and Ichiro being one of those guys. He probably used a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You could have had him out there pitching all of the time, I bet. I bet he would have been very capable. But it puts wear and tear on your body. What causes those Tommy Johns? The tear. The wear and tear, too much work, overworked, doing too much. So then when we get to the point of getting to about, well, here's my prognostication about his future health shape with them having this surgery. Okay, when we get to the prognostication about that, when you come to the worries you have about, okay, his Tommy Lee John's either going to diminish him. Well, I just proved to you that has happened before and that didn't occur. This is going to come up again. Well, it won't come up again if he's just going to be not pitching anymore. That's what's causing it. And this is my expertise, Megan, on this type of injury and Tommy John and my baseball background. I know a lot about this injury. I have followed it for all of my life with baseball. It's gone back to the 80s to the original guy, Tommy John, that the surgery was named after. So I know more about this injury than probably just about any other injury. And it's one that if you're going to be pitching like that, yes, there's some susceptibility to having it happen again. But if you're just playing out in the outfield and you're just and Julio gets on this pitch and sends it for a ride deep, 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 and that ball is going to get back into the stands. Julio uncorks one. He sent that high into the sky, and it just kept carrying and carrying and carrying. And Julio Rodriguez, with the flames still licking his bat on every swing, remains red hot here with another home run after yesterday. Mariners now up 6-0 on this Oakland A's team. Take that Trident. Take that Trident. He dug out a low pitch that he put out really like Crawford coming from the left side there. It was more closer to center than left field. It looked like it was probably going to be just a fly ball that fell right around the track, warning track, and it just kept carrying into the back of the stands. Very well done there by Julio Rodriguez. 6-0. Mariners take firm hold of this baseball game. Third straight game with a home run for Julio Rodriguez. When is this man going to start getting into some... He ain't going to get any MVP talk with Shohei out there, no doubt about that. But you got to think he's going to get some... He's going to get some votes. He's going to get some votes. I keep saying Tommy Lee. That figures. Tommy John. Alexander Wheeler says Shohei's batting .400 since the injury. Laugh out loud. There we go. Garth Brando, do you buy the whole Otani didn't come here in the first place because of Ichiro's legacy? Also, if Otani did become a reliever, what would be the logistics of that as far as keeping his arm up? Complicated. On the second answer to that, Garth, because you don't really have a situation of ever having done this before. So when you create that kind of logistical setup like you talk about for how to make it work, that's going to get hard. Eugenio sends this into the gap, and this is going to get down. The slow, meandering center fielder out there with the A's eventually gets the ball in, but Eugenio will be safe. I'd be testing that center fielder out every time too. I would be every time going for second base bag. That guy's a lollygagger out there. A purified lollygagger. Man, that Julio shot was just epic. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. MVP. MVP. Let's go. So Garth, it'll be easier on days where you have him DH, obviously, because then you have him out in the bullpen and you need to warm up and go that route. You can do that there with him there. It'll be harder on games where you have him out in right field and just bringing him out of right field without having a chance to go in the bullpen and warm him up. I don't even know if it's going to be feasible to do the bullpen thing with him. It's just an idea of maybe a place where you can reach a middle ground with him where you say, okay, Shohei, look, I know you still want to pitch, but your arm can't take this anymore. You've had these 2 times over, there can't be a third. This ball hit hard right at the shortstop. They're going to double him up there on the bag. Not really Teoscar, not really Eugenio's fault there. It looked like a base hit, and the guy was just on it. But Julio does some more damage, and the Mariners go up now 6-0 in this game as we're going to go into now the top of the 5th inning. I do wonder if Ichiro's situation will be impactful of this, Garth, and I think that you raise what's a valid thing that might be something that precludes him from coming here, right? Because he did say, I think there was a little bit of an inference before not coming here because of that. Does his feelings on that change now going to an organization like the Angels where he's trying to forge his own legacy and he's in an organization that's not really trying to win, and this didn't really work out like I kind of thought it was going to work out in the way I was going to try to make it happen. And now instead of it being this whole caught up with a legacy thing, it's now about, let me go to a place I can go compete and win at. That'll be a great location for me. That'll be an ideal spot that I'll be loved in, and that they'll want me there, and I can add that. And, maybe I'm thinking about this a little bit too with the hometown eyes here a bit. I'll admit that. But I have to think it's got to be at least as attractive as anywhere else, because the Mariners now have that ability to say, look, we've got the team in place. You're not coming here having to carry the whole day. You're going to be on a competitive team. You're going to be on a team that's going to push for World Series titles. Now, how important is that to you versus forging your own legacy out on some ball club that's not going anywhere? I wonder if that doesn't maybe kind of offset that a little bit, Garth. Vegas says, do you think that even though he has come back, there's no weakness and he's at 100%? No chance. No chance? No. Again, Megan, the problem with the argument here conceptually here is you're ignoring the part that I've asked you to remain consistent on. So if we are dealing with a human being that's going to have given a injury that he's going to come back from, and he's not going to be able to be 100%, and the logic that you seem to be bearing in mind on this is that you have sustained these injuries and you've not been able to come back 100%, so therefore he can't come back 100%. The part I brought up to you on this, though, is the part where he suffered this injury before and came back to it 100%. He came back from this injury once before as the most dominant pitcher and hitter at the very same time in all of baseball. So that argument doesn't hold. And I've already told you why it's not going to stand up as far as being an issue into the future with him, going back and having the injury again, because you stop him from doing the thing that caused the injury in the first place. May says, oh, forget it. But if we take him and it blows up in your face, and I reserve the right to tell you I told you so. That sounds fine, Megan. That sounds fine. It's a risk I'm willing to take. Washington Fist Quest, won't somebody please think of the children? And yes, B, I bow to what you know as your baseball background is far more than mine. I'm not a lot when it comes to injuries. You've known many times, Megan, if it's a finger injury like Russ back in the day, I've leaned to your expertise on it. Been okay, I don't know about that, but I know about Tommy Lee. I know about Tommy Lee John surgeries. That's what it is now forevermore now, by the way. It's Tommy Lee John surgeries. It's not just Tommy John, it's Tommy Lee John surgeries. Kickstart my tendon. Oh, yeah. Needing me a doctor. Gonna need it right now. Oh, yeah, baby. So yeah, when it comes to this one though, I know my stuff on this one. I've done my homework. Jeff in the zone. How you doing, man? It's good to see you. Alexander, I would wager he wouldn't pitch in 2024, but after that, and at a massively discounted rate as a result of the injury, he'll be a great DH first year and a great two-way possibility MVP years after that. Beautifully put, Alexander. I am 100% with you on everything you just said. Brian Wu comes out here now. He is 51 pitches deep as he's going to fall 1-0 here to the opening batter. 4 innings of no runs. Cruising along pretty well here is Brian. Jeff in the zone says, will the Mariners win the division? Boy, we're neck and neck with 3 teams, man. I think they've got as good a chance as anybody to take it right now. That'll be ball 2. Well, but pitch looked good. That pitch looked buttery. That looked buttery smooth right there. I don't like that. 2-0. You got to come in. Well, ball 3. Come on, Brian. You got a 6-0 lead. Throw some strikes. Make them beat you. I hope they do, Jeff. It's hard to say right now early on. There's been a track record of when teams get this hot like Mariners are right now, that it kind of will carry through the end of the year and may even carry to the World Series. There's been a couple of these kind of teams that have gone through this. Washington National teams, Braves teams in recent years. There we go. Fastball there. Strike. 3-1. But it's going to be tough. This is Astros are no joke. That's the team that won the title last year, and Rangers have been the front runners for most of the season. I just think you're going to be in a dogfight. What also makes this hard, Jeff, is there's no real easy track record here to say, and that'll be ball 4. No track record to look at the schedule and say, well, you're going to be able to just, your schedule's weak and you'll have an advantage over them with that. You're going to have to play these guys at the end of the year, like 9 straight games at the end of the season. And that's going to dictate and determine what's what at that point. They can get themselves some breathing room by getting wins against these teams like the A's here, but those will be the games that probably make what's what. And pitch there with a nice slider for a strike on the outside plate. 0-1 here. Jordan Diaz up. He had a single last time. 8th hitter in the lineup here for the Oakland A's. Just as a pitcher here, when you get a lead like this, you just want to keep pumping the zone. They're going to beat you, make them beat you swinging the bat. Don't give it to them. Megan says, what contract is Julio on at the moment? As someone said, it's kind of like a lifetime contract you basically have him on. So they signed him to a 7-year, $120 million deal, but then it can go up to like a 12-year, $209 million deal. This has got some option years on it. 0-2 count here to Jordan Diaz. He's on a very friendly contract, though, Megan. We've got him on to say that he's on a value deal with where they put that in. They also gave up a lot of cheap, years of club control on Julio to do that. So it was also Mariners taking a bit of a risk with that. 1-2 pitch. Hit on the ground, double play ball. Crawford up with it. Mangles it a little bit for a moment there in his hands, but he manages to get out over there to second base. Caballero throws it over to first base, and Ty France puts it away there. That will finish off the 5th in quick fashion here. No runs, no hits, 1 walk, and the Mariners will maintain a 6-0 lead. It is a bit of a complicated deal, though, Megan, because it is the 7 years, and then there's the option years on top. But it's an amazing deal. Of that, I am certain. Big Country says, I'm mostly concerned about John Stanton. I wish we had a different owner. Yeah, I'm worried about it too. The Shohei thing, I think that could end up being the thing that prevents you from getting the deal done above else. Is he wants to come. Isn't that the saddest part of this? If that does become it, he wants to come here. He's ready to come here. He likes coming here, but we're not willing to come within $200-300 million of somebody else's offer. Just after, by the way, on the back of our team being the most profitable team in baseball for a second straight season, because that story will come out as well. Sell that one to your fans. And we're good, so that part helps, but it is frustrating that if they don't take advantage of this and they remain as a kind of bottom-end payroll team. Alexander says, oh, wow, if he wins MVP twice or gets top 5 MVP votes, the option is 10 years, $350 million. It's a lot. It's a lot. Still worth it. Still fully worth it. Worth every last dollar bill. Y2K, I feel like we just didn't want these dudes last year. If the right guys are available, I feel like we'd go right around 10th in payroll. That's just a guess. DePoto did make it seem he had a little more cash. He did. He was inferring they might be a little more willing to open it up. And I agree with you. I kind of agree with him on this one. You look at the guys that were available last offseason, and it was not the most stunning of free agent classes out there. There's a lot of older guys. And it was kind of the way the previous year from that too, remember that with the Chris Bryants that were out there and a lot of the aging players that were aging bats that were just these guys that you want to tend to try to avoid. And I get where they're coming from on that. I do. Now, when you get a guy like Shohei on there, though, and then you go, well, we don't have the money, then that's when we start to have some issues. Well, you've been holding off on spending the money for a little while now. Come on. Spend. Alexander says with more expensive season tickets, maybe Stanton will be more willing to spend money. Hopefully so. It's very hard as an owner to go look at a fan base and say, we've got a bottom 3 payroll. We're not going to go out here and even be in the market for this primetime free agent because we can't avoid him, despite the fact that we've been the most profitable team in baseball for the last 2 seasons. Make those numbers work for me. Make that add up in my head. Mariners now here in the bottom of the 5th. We've got Ty France up the plate with a 1-0 count. Adrian Martinez is taking over on the hill for the A's. The Mariners already here into the 5th inning, into this A's bullpen. You love getting into a bullpen. First game of the series. Already start taxing them. That's the way we want to run. Washington Fish questions the league is no match for the Astros trash can lids. What are you going to do, you know? Cheater's going to cheat. Hater's going to hate. Alexander, yeah, I wish I could believe he would. A man can hope. I'm hopeful, Alexander, but I'm hopeful with also an eye of understanding the team's recent track record too, like you. 4-pitch walk here for Ty France. Get on base in the opening batter of this inning. Nice. Eric says, Jordan hasn't been the same since he got hurt a few months back. So there's that. That opens it up. He's been one of those Mike Trout, Rafael Palmeiro Mariner killers. And, especially watching Greg Spire last night pitch, it would be maybe your lefty to go after him in a series. I'm not liking that matchup right now. That guy's been brutal against us. Dylan Moore up to the plate. Ball 1. Martinez struggling to find his control here a little bit to start things off. Excuse me. Alexander says, depends on the price for me regarding Otani. If he wants $500, it's a definite no. You don't pay that much for somebody who could lose their pitching so easily. I don't know, not much of an expert in that regard, but I imagine his contract would have a lot of incentives based on innings pitched or something. I think there's a variety of ways, to your point on that, Alexander. You can put a contract like that together to where you can put in some insurance for the team so that they're not paying for something that they're not going to be getting from the player. And I think that there's also the flip side of that where a player can then make sure that he is getting appropriately, he's being appropriately rewarded for when he is giving you more than just one note as a player, more than just the hitter outfielder, but the starting pitching too. We got a 3-1 count here now on Dylan Moore. Martinez is just not quite finding the zone here to begin things out this 5th inning. Dylan 1 for 2 in this game. Now he's 1 for 2. Base hit. Ty France will motor on over into second base. And I would come up with any creative way to do it, Alexander. The thing I will say about, from my perspective on this Otani situation, it's this. Money's no object. I'll take the risk. I've already said I'm willing to do that. He's going to bring the value to this team if you bring him in. I'm not going to let $150, $200 million of money that's not mine, and which I know the Mariners have to spend, and which I know they'll make back up. Can you imagine what the ticket sales are going to be like with Otani in the house and Julio in the house every night? Do you know how often that place would sell out? We would sell out every single game at home, if not just about. The revenue will go up to match whatever you're paying this guy. So for me, I'll pay whatever. And if we got to get creative in the incentives, so be it. Canzone helping him out here. Come on, Canzone, make him pitch. He's gotten into an 0-2 count here. My guy's definitely very aggressive up at the plate, but we don't need more aggressive hitters in this lineup. That is not what we require. He'll sky this one up into left field, and that will be out number 1. Megan says your allergies sound like mine be. Yeah, it's also this. We got that smoke here. It's been that going for now like a good 3 weeks. So it's also just kind of messing up with keeps making my nose itch. You know, like if you ever have like smoke in your nose a little bit, and it like always, so it makes me look like I'm picking my nose to you guys when I'm doing this. But it's just this hanging hazy layer over the city here for the last month is just makes the whole face itch. Sean Lee says, how about Otani as our closer? I'm open to it. I'm open to bringing him in out of the bullpen. It's hard with the right field thing because you only get so many pitches to let a pitcher warm up if you pull him in off of the strike here. 1-1 to Caballero. You only get so many pitches if you're bringing a guy in from the bullpen to warm up. And if you don't, he can't go in. He can't do the thing, I don't believe, where you can then... Like, I don't think you can take him out of right field, put another right fielder out there for an inning, throw him in the bullpen, have him warming up, and then bring him back in the game. You can't take him out and then put him back in the game. He has to be in the game active at all times. So that makes it hard to make him a closer in those situations, with the exception, Sean, of when you have him as a DH, of course. Then this is not an issue. But if you have him out there playing positionally, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher to pull that off. 1-2 count here to Jose Caballero. Caballero puts a nice swing on this, but hits it right at the right fielder. And Ty France will be held up there at second, so 2 men down here. Wu-Tang says, facts, Brandon. Now is the time to get Otani. Don't have to trade, and we need his hitting more than his pitching. Sign this man. I feel I got to do a video for the Crow's Nest on this Wu-Tang, so I'm going to get one done here on the channel because I do want to get this just out there and on the record. But you got to do this. It just makes so much sense on so many levels to do this. You don't tend to have this kind of hitter out open on the market and available to you. Even like we saw last year with Judge, he was basically almost always kind of probably just go back to New York. You know, you're not going to have a chance with this guy, and he fits to your stadium. The left-handed swing, the ability to play in the outfield and play plus in the outfield as well. To draw walks and be patient at the plate, and then he's a monster. He's a monster. How much fun it would be watching games with those two guys in the lineup, him and Julio hitting back-to-back. Like, you're going to try to pitch around Julio so you can get to Shohei. I mean, you talk about getting Julio some protection in the lineup as he gets better and better and better. This ball is hit on the ground by O'Keefe. Well, at least he hit it in play. That'll be out number 3 as he's thrown out at first. So we will go through 5 innings here with the Mariners up 6-0. Cruising along. Glad you agree with me though, Wu-Tang. Megan says, what would be the most with bonuses that you would pay for Otani B? I'm literally telling you on this, Megan, there is no cap of what I'm willing to pay Otani. Here's my thing on Otani. I'm willing to pay Otani $1 more than whatever the highest offer is out in the open market. I'm going to price his right this biznatch. You know, LA Dodgers are going to give you $550 million. I'll give you $550 million in one. Or $551 million. So I will give more than whoever else out there is willing to give. This player changes the trajectory of my roster, the outlook for my foreseeable seasons, protects Julio Rodriguez, increases my ticket sales. Watching free agency in recent years, Megan, and watching the guys that are available and even just in trades. Guys you can pull in from other teams. The availability isn't out there. And as much as I love the way this organization has developed pitchers, and they've developed pitchers better than maybe anyone in Major League Baseball over the last 3 to 4 years. They've done the rare thing of taking first-round pitchers and actually developing them into star-level players. That is phenomenal. That's worth lauding. But they can't for the life of them, and this has been an organizational problem going back for 20 years now. Part of the reason that you've been stuck in a black hole for 20 years is you can't find hitters and you can't develop hitters. It is a gaping problem on this team over and over that they are facing year after year after year. And you have a solution. You have a fix right there. Let's remember too, Megan, there is no salary cap in baseball. There is no salary cap in baseball. And I would believe that this guy does come with ticket sales. This guy comes with him and Julio in the combination of you now selling out every single game in that stadium every single year that he's probably there. If you're not running 90 to 95% occupancy, I would be blown away. He is the biggest draw in Major League Baseball. Where that guy travels right now, he fills up stadiums and other organizations. So he's going to increase your bottom line as well. I can't come up to a point on this where I want to land. In fact, it would drive me crazy to land up in this situation where you say, we really loved him. Everything I said was true about it. We just didn't want to go up that extra $50 million. We just didn't want to do that extra 70 because that was arbitrarily deemed as too much in a sport where there is no salary cap. In a sport where I have seen other organizations out there go and buy themselves their way into World Series titles. If that's the lay of the land, then that's the lay of the land. You know, if we got a hard salary cap, then I'll operate within those constraints. But I don't think that that's what we're in, you know. I don't think that that's where we're at. Blake Nelson just got a thing from something. Thank you, Blake. Nice of him. Voodoo says 3 years, $200 million is what I'm offering. I'll beat the best offer out there. Let's put our money in the line. Let's not be scared here. We got a team that's ready to roll. That ball's hit in the air, right to France. Bat broken, catches it, steps on first place, getting the batter leaning off. This happened to the Mariners, and he broke that bat down by the handle. You could stab a vampire with that thing. Sawed him off. That's what they call that. And right there to Ty France, who just has to step on the bag. 2 men down. It's like the Mariners happened a couple innings. It's not really a base running error. It naturally is going to happen if they're going to hit that ball like that. And you got a little bit of a lead. Wu continues to motor along here through 6 innings. Got a quick 0-1 count here to Zach Geloff. ATM says Otani would look good hitting homers to the Hit It Here Cafe. He would. It's another thing I've said about this. There's so many levels of this that make sense. Another one of which to be that right field porch. The stadium designs is made to be a pitching park, but it's a park that gets shorter to the right field porch, and the winds tend to blow better out to right field. When there are winds, then they tend to blow out into left field. So if you have a hitter that's a left-handed bat, with some power, and why I often say that right field was built for Griffey's stroke, right? Griffey was in the Kingdome. They were building the stadium. Griffey was going to go to the new stadium. They built the dimensions of that park to accommodate to Junior's swing. This ball's hit in the air, foul. 1-2 here. So getting a guy like Otani, who has a very nice natural pull swing, he's going to be able to benefit that. His stick's not going to be as inhibited in this ballpark as a stick like Adrian Beltre, who was still a really fine player at the time that he came here, but he was a power-hitting right-handed bat, you know, that would strike out a lot. That was going to struggle at times in this park. Yeah, Megan, just a blank check. It's all good. We good people. No worries. I wasn't being as clear with that on that as far as what I was paying. But yeah, it basically is for me a blank check. I'm not going to go as far surpass what is the best offer by $100 million, but I will better the best offer that's out there. This is the kind of player to me, and there aren't a lot of these guys, but this is the rare type of player that comes down the track that you go, this isn't one that I need to get caught up on the price tag of him. He's that good. Swing and a miss, strike 3 on another nice little fastball there right at the knees. Wu giving a little bit of an angry smirk there as he comes off the field. Beautifully pitched ball game by Wu. 6 innings of work, 3 hits. This staff, can it get any more dominant? Can it? I don't know. And Megan, yeah, there's no price on this one for me. I'm willing to pay whatever. He's worth it. Washington says, Washington Fish Quest, thanks for doing the stream, Brandon. Soto Mojo, Beiji. Soto Mojo. Good vibes. You got to love these guys. I got to bring them all out. Big Country says Julio and Otani could be the Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig of this line. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about all-time lineup, all-time 3-4 hitter combinations, you know. How about, Gehrig and Mantle? You know. Did Gehrig play with Ruth? I thought they were a little different eras. Who are 2 other combinations, 3-4 hitters? And trying to think of who else would be a good relation there. I've met a lot of that'll be as devastating as this combination. Voodoo, you get the entire Japanese fan base? You would. Exactly. And I mean, we've got a huge Japanese contingent in Seattle as it is that would be showing up for those games. But it's already, I think, when it comes to it, we feel like a little bit of a sister franchise when it comes to Japan. Just naturally, it feels like, you know, if there's a natural, you know, it's like Alaska naturally being Seahawks fans. It just does kind of feel like that should be the way it is. Maybe I'm being a bit greedy. Maybe a little bit greedy. So Megan, I think some of this is a bit of the difficulty when it comes to in determining what I'd be willing to pay him. Like I say, a lot of this is willing to be what the market's out there offering him. And I'm going to be aware of what the market's out there offering him. I mean, this stuff's not going to be a hidden secret to anybody of who's putting what on the table at that point. So if the Dodgers with their big pocketbook and Magic Johnson's money, Crawford hits it on the ground here to second, he's going to be thrown out for out number 1. You know, if I hear that they're going to come in with $500 million, I'm going to be willing to come in with $550. If they're going to come in with $600 million, I'll come in with $650. Am I going to pay the guy $1 billion? No, I'm not going to do that. But the more of the key here, Megan, is that I do not want the Otani not being signed because I'm determining that my owner's bank account can't afford it. That, to me, that would be a BS excuse because it's short-sighted for the reasons I gave. You're going to increase ticket sales to the greatest of any in baseball. You're going to sell out every single game when there's some teams in baseball, Megan, that might sell out a couple games a season if they're lucky. You know, that's going to gain you back your value. You're going to get your money's worth back for it. On top of the fact that if the team with that strength of that lineup and pitching staff and defense could go win some World Series on top of it, you'll be one of the brightest lights in all of Major League Baseball on top of it, which is worth then more franchise value too, right? Because then you're going to start to increase the value of the franchise, the valuation of the franchise with that. This is one of those places where you can get into it. I know we're talking about $500 and $600 million worth of money and stuff, but this is that old saying that comes back to mind of tripping over nickels in order to save pennies. You're thinking about everything on the front end, but not thinking about any of the advantage. Not you personally, Megan, but the ownership would be thinking about everything on the front end and that cost, but not thinking about the value built off of that cost. And that's more of where I line into on this. Julio up here with a 3-1 count. He hit an absolute bomb in his last at bat. Takes a big swing there on the slider and just misses through. So this will be 3-2. Sector 7 Campbell is my new favorite beat bullpen arm just from the mustache. Mustache is worth like 15. It's worth like 5 miles an hour on the hill. Let's also acknowledge that, right? But then it's just, how do you not root for a reliever with a mustache? There's a long history of this. Raleigh's fingers, Goose Gossage, Bobby Ayala. Julio outruns it. He's still playing hard here into the bottom of the 6th. Julio's not lollygagging. He hits a easy little grounder over to third base. Guy gets thrown out of that all the time, and he just outruns it for a base hit. I mean, he hit this pretty hard to third base. And the third baseman just came up and took an extra step there. Coming up, just that little extra step he took to get the ball out of his hands and get it thrown, allowed Julio to get in there to first and beat the throw. He's amazing. Julio's absolutely just going ham right now. Eugenio steps up to the plate with a 1-0 count here to start things off. A Y2 case is to play devil's advocate. The dark side of signing Otani is give him 15 years, $900 million. Then by year 3, he's whatever. Team forever is doomed. It seems to me almost all big free agent signings don't work out. I'm not giving Otani a 15-year deal at what, 28 years old is what he's at. I wouldn't do that. That comes to a point where it's like, would you go not 20 or no? I won't go there. But would I do an 8-year deal? Eugenio hits this off the end of the bat. Right fielder's up underneath it for out number 2. I mean, I might do an 8-year deal. I might trust that he can get up to 35 and still be a productive hitter. 35, 36 years old. There's been hitters in baseball that have been able to get up that and still, they're not going to be hitting at their prime. You're definitely paying on the back end for stuff you're getting to the front end of that deal. And there's a risk involved with it, even at that point. But I would not be doing the 15-year. I'm not paying him, like I expect him at 42 years old to be going out there being paid $30 million a year. No, that would be dumb. But I also don't think Y2K that there's a team that's going to be out there offering him a 15-year contract. I maybe if it's one of those Bobby Bonilla contracts where you're paying him that money, but it's like he just gets a $3 million kicker every year in retirement through whatever. I mean, something like that, I guess maybe. But I don't see anybody giving him with the injury situation he has right now. Not knowing if you're going to get any of the starting pitching aspect of that, which is what that would take to get that deal done to that degree. I don't think that kind of deal is out there for him. Megan says, if there's no cap in baseball, how does that make it fair for lower teams? Well, Megan, you touch on something that, if you want to talk about something that angered my little teenage heart back in 95, watching Yankee teams buy their way into World Series championship after championship, they had some internal guys they developed too with it. But I mean, let's face it, they were spending like 3 times as much as anybody else out there. That's baseball. They've determined that they have making a really good players union, unlike the Football Players Association. Baseball's Players Association is really strong, and they have been able to fight off having a cap put in place. The owners want it, Megan, right? But the players aren't letting that happen, and that's where you have to get the sign off on the negotiations for that to occur. So it isn't fair. It's unfair, but we've been on the other end of that unfairness. So we've suffered from the other side of this. It ain't like we've just been one of those super rich teams out there to be able to benefit from it. So if we happen to be in a position to benefit from it now, I'm not going to. Great piece of hitting by Teoscar Hernandez. He hits this out into right field. The right fielder's up with it a little bit slowly. Julio will get home easily here. But a wonderful piece of hitting there, just going the other way with it. A line drive stroke there by Teoscar Hernandez. He punched it right out into right field. Very nicely done, going right with the pitch there. A little early in this game, he was really dragging that hand over on these pitches on the outside part of the plate. And he was pulling them foul down the line to the third base side. And you see there, when you just, instead of trying to yank it, just go with it a little bit. You don't have to do a lot. Just go with it, get the head of the bat on the ball, and let it do the work. And that's what Teoscar did there. Nice job. Mariners up 7-0 now here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Base hit out to center field. First pitch swinging here by France. There we go. France with a second base hit. So 2 hits from Ty Crawford, 2 hits from Julio, 2 hits from Suarez, 3 hits from Julio, 2 hits from Suarez, 2 hits from Hernandez, 2 hits from Ty France. The top of your lineup is getting the job done in this particular game today. Yeah, Megan, that's why we got the Moneyball thing, Megan, and like the Brad Pitt movie and all that. That's how you get to that point where they adopted their strategy like they did, because they ran into that place where, I mean, that movie was really based upon in itself. The Yankees at that time, in the heart of them buying championships, were literally going to buy and pilfer the A's best player, Jason Giambi, in order to help their team out. And the A's couldn't do anything about it. They just had to kind of watch him, like Johnny Damon the previous year that had gone and been taken too. YGK, let's talk about how dope Topa and Spear are. We basically got those guys for free. Spear's been pretty good. He was shaky yesterday. Boy, was he off. But Topa's been awesome. And DePoto seems to have a magical gift of the light touch when it comes to bullpens. ATM says, if Otani chooses Seattle because of Ichiro's influence, it's just crazy to think of the butterfly effect of Ichiro coming to Seattle wanting to play with Griffey. It truly is. It truly is. And it's a beautiful thing. You love the connection of that. Because it's just something worth celebrating, even on a team that's not necessarily had the game success to celebrate. Because if it ends up bearing out from that, then ATM, you get the ultimate success, you get the World Series, and you can see the cognitive connection between those things. And as much as I maybe it's my wrong on this, but as much as I feel like maybe the Ichiro legacy thing was a bit of an hindrance before when Otani was out there as a free agent, I just don't think it'll be as much now. I think it'll almost kind of work in the opposite way now, with the experience that he has had with playing with the A's, playing with a team that's not been competitive. And, with where Seattle's at on top of it. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming. Maybe I'm dreaming here. John Lee Julio up to hitting 285 now. He is raking. Absolutely raking. Megan says the mustache is only worth 5 miles more. Surely not. More like 10. It's only 5 miles an hour and more, but your spin rate increases by like 75%. So the movement on the pitches is improved. That's why Raleigh Fingers used to twist his mustache off at the ends, because it would give it a little extra to the curveballs. And the gaps don't make any sense, Megan. It didn't make any sense to me that the Yankees could have spent that money back in the day like they did, but this is the players' associations, the player unions, and every union is different, and certain unions are really strong and other unions are really weak, and one thing that makes baseball strong as a union, or basketball strong as a union, is that they've had these guaranteed contracts. And so when it comes to negotiation time, their players can sit back, and Sacito will take over here for Brian Wu, by the way. Wu went 6 great innings, no run ball, 5 strikeouts, only 3 hits, 1 walk, outstandingly pitched. This is going to get a hit on the ground to Ty France. He'll come over and cover for out number 1 here in the 7th. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up, but that's when you get to the CBA negotiation times, these guys that are baseball players are sitting on 25 million in their account. They can sit and wait out those owners, and if they've got to miss games, they can miss games. It's not as big a deal to them. If you're a football player and the average lifespan in football is 3 years, and you don't have a guaranteed contract, and you probably haven't made a lot of money, and you're going to have to hold out and lose like half of a year of your career in order so that you as a players association can get those guaranteed deals. It makes it tougher. On top of it, football is harder to give guaranteed deals because of the injury factor. Guys get hurt more. You can't be out there guaranteeing everybody's salary if you got to be dipping way more into the streets to sign more guys on. You end up paying 5, 6, 7, 8% more than Major League Baseball or basketball does, as far as your profit margin goes, because you have to bring more guys in to fill in for the guys that are injured. You have bigger rosters, Doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a cap, though. Bottom line, and strike 3 by Saucedo, looking strong to begin things here. Got a nice little breaking ball, bottom of the zone there. Out number 2. Voodoo says Julio is definitely getting in the top 5 MVP voting. Otani, Tucker, Seager, and J-Rod. Looks about right to me too, Voodoo, on that. He's got to at this point. He's got to. 285. Sector 7, I feel bad for smacking the A's around. Like, we can just win like 2-0 and make it less suffering for them. Laughing my ass off. You got to put them away early in this series. We got to take their soul in this series, man. You get a team like this is scuffling that's down on their luck. You got to not give them a chance. You know what I mean? You got to not give them a chance. Outside, ball 2 here. MSR Rick brought up a good combo. The Bash Brothers were a good combination when they were running strong. You had a year where I think McGuire hit 49 bombs, and I think Jose Canseco was up around the 50s that year or something. That would probably be or even a nice pitch there. Even the Griffey A-Rod, maybe the next one that we could go to as the 1-2 punch. That might be the other one we'd go to in recent years. I'm trying to. There really hasn't been a lot. Maybe Big Papi and Manny Ramirez. There's another combo for you. Maybe them. Sector 7. What the? I feel robbed. I wanted the stash. Banks says, like I said, we have caps in most sports. I follow here, so I just assume that all sports do. Guess not. Yeah, unfortunately not. Even in basketball, where they've got a cap, they have a luxury tax. So you can go past the cap, but then you have to pay a luxury tax penalty fee. So even then, it's not a hard cap. Oh, Y2K, I know you're talking about. It was the Jim Thome. That's who you're thinking of. Jim Thome was the guy with Manny at Cleveland. But Manny wasn't Manny with Cleveland. Manny was Manny with Boston. Thome was a monster, though. 1-1 count, runner on first. Swing and a miss 1-2. Voodoo Magic, I remember when our team batting average was ranked towards the bottom. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year the M's will be top 10. They might. Everyone's raised their average up, basically. Everyone's picked themselves up. Or maybe a couple of exceptions in there, but everybody's been able to raise their marker up. And it'd be, if they could pull where they were from where they were, it's amazing what they've done this year. It's been one of the more surprising turnaround seasons I've seen from any sport, really. For a team that was just so well fitted to being middle of the road, well past middle of the season in. I mean, that's what they had been every single month. That hadn't given you a lot of light to believe that this was going to turn on like it has. But it has. YDK, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez sounds pretty dope to me. They were good, but Manny was young at that time. I don't think he really took it another level when he got over to Boston. This ball's hit up into the air to Crawford. Crawford struggling to find it. He dancing around, flowing back, finally gets it underneath, and that will complete the 7th inning. The Mariners on 13 hits have amassed 7 runs. The Athletics 0. And they look to cruise on in here to another victory. Washington Visquest asks, who's my favorite non-Mariner player of all time? That's a good question. Let me give it some thought. That's a really good question. It has to be after I got to get out of the era of when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I was so enamored with Griffey that it's got to be outside of that area for me a little bit. I'll tell you a couple names of when I was growing up of guys that I liked. I don't know if I have one guy that just stands out as a guy that I loved his career, loved him as a player, all that stuff. Trout's been a fun one to watch in his career, certainly. When I was growing up, I loved me some Eric Davis, Cincinnati Reds player. He was kind of awesome back in the day. Dale Murphy with the Braves, because all the games were on TBS. He was a hell of a player back in the day. More modern age. Hmm. Man, who would be somebody in the modern age I'd go to? There's not one guy jumping out to me. Let me think about it, Wash Fish Quest. With modern age, there's not a guy jumping out that I'm like, well, this guy. There's been really good players. I guess Trout would probably be that guy. Obviously, Otani's that guy too. But that's an easy one, as is kind of Trout. Ooh. Canzone spins away from the first pitch, 1-0. Gosh, I cannot come up with a Andrew Jones. Yeah, he was fun. He was always, to me, a little bit of a knockoff Griffey to me, kind of. Canzone hits this one up in the air. Not a great day for Canzone today. And that'll be out number 1. Chipper Jones was good. Cal Ripken was fun. Megan says, I hear luxury tax and I think of the square on Monopoly board. Me too. It's kind of a silly phrase. Vector 7, I guess it's not only Campbell's stash, it's the glasses too. 8th grade math teacher smoking strikes like awful division equations. I can't understand. Neither can the hitters, man. They just go up there confused, Vector 7. They just go up there baffled. Completely like, huh? What? What? Swing and a miss. Jose Caballero on a 1-1 count. 0 for 3 today. Lined out in the 5th inning. Oh man, I cannot think of a name that I thought I'd have come up into my mind to be somebody that I'd have a good name here to give you as far as a guy. Nobody's coming to mind. No one's coming to mind. Two-one. Batted on the ball to third. Bottom line, I'm not holding up there in the bargain tonight. That'll be 2 outs. I'll have a name that'll come to me here before the end. I did like watching guys like Pedro Martinez pitch. That was always fun. Even a Greg Maddux. Pitchers are kind of easier, I guess, for me to pick as far as that goes than hitters. Hitters is a little bit tougher. I don't know why. Brian O'Keefe up to the plate. My man's had a tough day here. 2 strikeouts. Check swing, first pitch strike here. Y2K says, would I trade JP Crawford for David Eckstein? No. Eckstein was annoying. He's a good player. He just annoyed the hell out of me. Nolan Ryan was built different. Mariano Rivera, that's a good one. That's a good one. How about Dennis Eckersley? Another guy like Rivera in his time, just untouchable. This ball's hit on a line by O'Keefe, but he gets robbed. Boy, when it's tough going, isn't it? He hit that thing right on the button, and fielder just made a great play out there. You got to hit it out to center, buddy. You want the fielder to not make the catch with the A's. Watch Viz questions. My favorite is Bob Gibson for a similar reason, Voodoo. He was playing a different game. I'd be scared to be in the batter's box against him. Also, he rarely got any run support, so he's like a Mariner. Bob Gibson's another great reference. That's another great reference. And yeah, he was a guy known for, you weren't going to squeeze the plate with Bob Gibson. You dug in too close to that plate. He was going to back you off. Ricky Anderson, I think, is a great suggestion, Voodoo. Ricky would be a guy that I definitely would put up there as a guy that you watched growing up that you were just like, this guy's so much fun. how small he could make the strike zone with that crouch stance and then still generate the power that he could generate, a plus fielder. And then he was the biggest nightmare on the base paths as far as a stolen base artist the game has ever seen. He was just an awesome player. And Ozzie was good too. A little bit light hitting, but he was a good player too back in the day, for what he brought. Pujols was fun. He's a good player watch from afar, a little bit more closer to the modern age. When he was in his prime, he was something to watch. He had that power to just dig a ball out. When he got his swing, you just felt like he was just digging it out and up. Without it being really an upper stroke kind of swing, which was odd. It was almost like his base was giving him the elevation rather than it being the nature of his stroke of his swing. It was the base coming up like he was doing almost a squat. Tony Gwynn was awesome too. Tony Gwynn was a fun player to watch. A lot like Ichiro. Those guys went up to the plate and they just had an approach that was different than anybody else. Tony was great. How about Kirby Puckett? But Kirby back in the day, squatty little center fielder. He was a fun little dynamo. And Y2K, yeah, Kirk Gibson's home run is the coolest thing of all time. It sucks because it actually probably does dim a little bit of Eckersley's greatness when it shouldn't, but it's the thing that's most fixed in people's mind when they think of Dennis Eckersley. Gamble back out here up on the hill. Strike. 0-1. But that was one of the most famous moments in all of baseball. So you just got to tip your hat to Gibby on that one. He got it done against one of the best of all time, on one of the greatest stages of all time while he was injured all the hell. Like the toughest of uphill climbs that you could have on that at bat that he went up to the plate, and he made it happen. 0-2 count here. Boy, what a nasty pitch. And the umpire at first was like ball, and then the umpire was like, that thing's too nasty. That movement was too great. I can't ignore that. No, you're out. You're out on the principle of that pitch. I don't even care if it's a ball or strike, just the principle of that pitch you're out on. Watch FizQuest. Tony Gwynn was about to say him. He was my favorite to watch as a kid, him and Boggs. Love that Gwynn stayed with one team. Me too, man. Me too. And yeah, Wade Boggs was a guy I couldn't believe he eventually went to the Yankees. It's like he felt like he was going to be a Red Sox forever, didn't he? Couldn't believe it when he went. He's one of the only left-handed hitters I've ever seen. Ortiz got very close, but even Ortiz was still a little bit more pull heavy. Boggs was an absolute master of almost turning it into like a pickleball court with the bat, because what he would do is, as a left-handed hitter, he could find a way to hit the ball with some lift and just tap it off that green monster for an easy double. And he was just unbelievable at it. Boy, Campbell's looking good, man. His pitches are hitting that spot. He definitely didn't shave that stash today. That's all I'm going to say. Definitely did not. 3-1 pitch here. Swing and a miss. 3-2. Spectre, is it okay to think this team has a shot to match the excitement and legacy of the 95 Mariners, assuming we win the division and go deep? Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. This ball is going to be hit foul. The Mariner 95 team got through one series. You got through one series last year. That's a phenomenal season to what they did, and it was a season that was also built up on saving the team and keeping them in Seattle. So there was a little bit more on the line, and this ball is going to bounce. Campbell pissed at himself. It's like, dang, I had him. Ball 4. There was a little bit more riding on that one. So everyone was a little more on edge with it, Spectre 7, which just increased the excitement, increased everybody being connected to what was happening with the team at that time. But if this team is able to, this team got through, I think, 2 rounds, of the playoffs. I think that they would have people putting them in that mode, in that area of their where they stand. They're on the track. Sector 7 says the stash. There we go. Keith coming out there trying to settle Campbell down. Chill out, big man. You got a 7-run lead. You're super intense right now. Just let it rip. Give me some prime Nomar. I can't do Nomar with the ticks, Y2K. Nomar's a great player, but the ticks and the stepping out of the batter's box, he's the guy that created all of that crap. And they finally got out of the game with this pitch clock now, but we don't have a pitch clock in baseball if it wasn't for Nomar Garcia Parra's OCD. 2-0 here. Voodoo says, I heard the Gibson home run live on the radio when I was 9 years old at my grandma's house. That was something special. Did you get here? You would have heard Scully make the call then, right, Voodoo? Was it Scully's voice? That's unbelievable. I think Dave Stewart started that game. That sounds about right. Ball's hit on the ground to Eugenio. A double play ball here. He gets it out to Caballero. Caballero bounces the ball to Ty France. He picks it up at first base, and that will be out number 3. We will cruise along on into the bottom of the 8th inning. The Mariners maintain 7-0 lead. Vin Scully on that call. Oh, man, Voodoo. Unbelievable. It's hard to undersell. I don't know if Scully got through it on the call, but it's hard to undersell just how much it felt like a Hail Mary Tommy Lasorda move to bring Gibson out. He was a batter, but he's walking out there with this old Western, I've been riding a horse for 12 straight hours kind of gait to his limp. Where you're like, how is he even gonna flip his hips trying to swing the bat? You just looked at it and you go, this isn't how, and this is Eckersley up there. And Eckersley was untouchable as a closer. I mean, just untouchable as a closer. He'd be one of those guys who'd finish a season with .89 ERA, .89, something like that. Just insane. And you're bringing this guy up who's in a shell of himself state, an older player. Best days are behind him. Yeah, he's got some legit power. But this is Lasorda with nothing else to call upon, no other cards to pull out of his hat. He's got Eckersley shutting this thing down. You're just watching, there's no way he's going to make that. And then you hit the home run, you're like, whoa, how did he do that? And he couldn't even run the base. Watch him run the bases even. He's just, even as he's celebrating, he's limping along. Y2K says Suarez better get a gold glove. I'd love to see it, man. He's been money for us out there. How did the advanced stats have him held up? I haven't looked. Y2K says rank them all in defensive order. Bell, Seager, Beltre, Carrillo, Suarez. Adrian Beltre is the best defensive third baseman that we've had come through here. I would put Eugenio Suarez over Seager because I think that he has better range than Seager does. And I think he has a better arm than Seager had. Probably Bell and Carrillo. Carrillo wasn't anything that exciting to me. Bell was a solid glove. He couldn't hit real well, but he was a solid glove. Crawford up the pitch here, up the plate now with 2-1 count. Line drive stroke down the line, foul. D-Nugget says, wow, team shutout coming today. You know it, D-Nugget. They got this. They're doing just what you do with a team like this. Get up on them early, put them away, Get him thinking about the next game. Get him thinking already about the offseason coming. Jeff Carrillo, however you spell it. I know what you meant, though. Yeah. I felt like he didn't hit well, and he wasn't the greatest. He was an okay glove. Yeah. Wu Tang says Gino 100% deserves a glove. Every game I've watched this year, it seems like at some point or another, he's making a play at some point that could go either way, depending on another fielder. And he sometimes makes stuff look effortless that isn't. Crawford hits this right on the button to the right fielder, and this will be a fly out for out number 1. Mega says, have Vin's name and number on my own blue Dodger jersey. The one thing I had to get when I was in LA. I cried more for his death than I did for my own father. Oh my goodness. That's very sad. Well, he was a legend. Absolute, utter legend. Sector says, one of the most underrated names in the documentary in 20 years will be absolutely be Eugenio. Yeah. It took me about 15 times pronouncing it to finally pronounce it right. Julio up to the plate now. He's got 4 hits on the day here, 4 for 5, including a home run. Typical Julio game this year now. I think we just call this a typical Julio game. D-Nugget says, I would absolutely go bananas if Shohei came here and won us a World Series. I would too, man. I would too. Bouncing ball, 1-1. This is part of the reason I'm so in for it. D-Nugget, this is part of why I'm trying to already make the case for it, you know. Say, this is what we got to do. Let's make this happen. Oh, I hope they do. I really do. 1-1 count. Julio hits this on the ground. He might run this one out again, and he will. Julio, I think he's going to get credited with his, I guess that is now his 4th hit. I know the stat tracker is ahead of me. So that is his 4th hit of the game here today. Holy mackerel, Julio. He's like Ichiro with those infield hits. So fast. Just finding a way. Average now up to 286. Y2K says Jeff Carrillo did have the record for like consecutive innings or something with no errors. Oh, okay. I'm a little bit hazy on Carrillo. Of those names, he was the one that didn't stand out amongst the names the most. I don't feel like he was here for a long time, was he? Just a couple years. Oh, 1 count here to Eugenio, and that is the 5th game this year for Julio with 4+ hits. Voodoo says, my first M's game at the Kingdom was versus the Tigers. The only thing I can remember was Mickey Brantley coming to bat with, oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Hey, Mickey, playing in the crowd, singing along. Yeah, that sounds about right for the old days in the Kingdom, what they would play. I can't remember. I think my first game was, holy mackerel. I can't remember. I can remember going in 89 when I was in Little League, you know, where they'd have the Little Leaguers on the field and you'd walk around you would get to go on the infield and walk around everything. Ball's bounced, and this is going to go back to the backstop. Julio is going to go take second. Julio's going to be one of the people in the baseball with most total bases this year. He just eats up base. He just always seems like he ends up on third at least. It's a steal and then an overthrow, and then he's over on third. I know the total bases is hits thing, but just most total times this guy's progressed on a base pad in a season. 2-2 count here to Eugenio. Eugenio hits this off the end of the bat. Right fielder is on it. For out number 2. Julio didn't tag up there. I think he thought that was going to get in. Y2K, he went for like a sliding play, got scored an error, so he didn't break the record. He should be the rightful owner of that record. Oh. A bad record keeper got him, huh? That's tough. That is tough. Teoscar Hernandez's night is going to be done. Understandable here. He's getting a little bit of rest at the end of this game. Smart buy service. So Cade Marlowe will come in to take over for him out there in right field. Voodoo says Alvin Davis, Ray Quiones, Jim Presley, Dave Valley, Steve Balboni, Spike Owen, Henry Cotto. That team was brutal. Balboni was your Babe Ruth guy. He'd hit these just monster shots, but he was definitely built like an 80s baseball player where he's probably like 6'3", 260, just a big old meat stick there. Valley couldn't hit a ton, but he was good behind the dish. Alvin Davis, Mr. Mariner. Ray Quiones, I think that was your shortstop, wasn't it? Before you had Spike out there. Remember Spike? And Jim Presley was the original for me. That was my first baseball guy that I was like, I liked on the team. Like, that's your guy kind of, That was the first one before Griffey. It was Presley and Langston. And then my little heart got broken when we traded Langston. And that was just after the Sonics had traded Tom Chambers. It was a brutal time. It was a brutal, brutal time, I'm telling you. You young Seattle fans don't know what you got. We got a 3-1 count here to Cade Marlowe. Julio on second, 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning. Mariners are up 7-0. Jeff Burrows going deep with some of these names. Balboni's awesome. Balboni was some of his home runs seemed like they went like 600 feet. He hit one in Cleveland one day. I remember watching like a Saturday afternoon where it cleared center field. It went over all these tarps in center field. It went behind the tarps. It landed on like a tractor. I don't know why they had a tractor in the stadium, but they did. 3-2. Strike 3. Marlowe caught. Looking there. Good pitch by Martinez. Got to give your props out here to Martinez in this game. He's come in for the Oakland A's in 4 innings of 1-run work here, filling in for Mueller. He's helped to save their bullpen a little bit here for the rest of this series, which I was not hoping was going to be what happened. But whatever. Voodoo says Langston for Brian Holman, Gene Harris, and throw in Randy Johnson. The kicker of the deal, Voodoo. The 28-year-old prospect that just didn't seem like he was ever going to get it figured out. And that was a tough trade at the time. That one definitely hurt quite a bit. But Mariners won it, getting Randy Johnson and his performances they did from it as they found a way to figure him out. Holman was pretty okay for a while. I think he got like one of those Tommy Lee John surgeries. And I think they ended up knocking him out. D-Nugget says, we can all say we're here when the Crow's Nest had 517 subs. That's right, D-Nugget. You can say when we're just this tiny little mom and pop's operation out here. Hey, we get to the series this year. I'll guarantee you this channel will be right there in competition with the Hawks Nest size-wise. You'll watch that go on very fast if that were to happen. Voodoo, is that the greatest trade in Mariners history? Got to be up there, right? We've had some bad trades in our history. We've not been on the better end of things. That's got to be one of the best ones ever, though. Williams is Brian Holman with his game against these A's, 8 2/3, and then bam. Yeah, and then it wasn't it the former Mariner that broke up the no-hitter for Holman's game? Wasn't it the guy with the glasses? Another guy with glasses and a mustache, I think, right? He's the guy that looked like an accountant, but he was actually a pretty good baseball player. And we traded him. Oh, come on, Chad, help me out with that name. That's the one with the Seinfeld joke where he's busting on Seinfeld and he's like, you traded Jay Buhner for... Who was the guy? Oh, my God. He's like, you traded Jay Buhner for Kenny Phelps? Was that what it was? Kenny Phelps? Yeah, that's the whole bit where George is talking to George Steinbrenner, the Yankees owner, and he's like, You traded Jay Buhner for Kenny Phelps? How could you do that? How could you be so stupid? And then Steinbrenner's like, get this man a job. Okay, so we're going to open up the top of the ninth inning here. First pitch swinging against Thornton. And that will be out number one. Thornton, 15 innings of work this year. 2.12 ERA, 16 strikeouts to 4 walks in 17 innings. Pretty solid. Kenny Phelps, there we go. I was right. Hey, there we are. It's a great bit. If you're a Mariner fan, you ever want to get just a funny, kind of, what? Where'd that come from? There's this great bit in the Seinfeld show where George Costanza is reading the fake George Steinbrenner in the show, the Yankees owner at the time, reading the riot act for this trade that helped the Mariners land Jay Buhner. And it's a great little bit. And then it's got the punchline at the end where you think Steinbrenner's going to read him the riot act and tell him to get out of his face. And instead he says, get this man a job. It was Ken Phillips, though, I think, right? Yeah. Ken took his perfect game with one out, left to deep. That's right. Ken's last bit of revenge, William, for us trading him. Just how dare you? How dare you? Mariners with 19 wins in August. That is the second most in team history. They could tie the 2001 Mariners that, of course, won 116 games, was it? 116 games. In 2001, if they were to win this game tonight, and that means that tomorrow they could actually set the record. This ball is hit up into the air, skied high, but Julio is right there. No fly zone here, and that is out number 2. Mike Mussina had like a million almost perfect games, but never got one. It's tough. You get nervous at the end there, Y2K. You know, you try to be perfect with your pitches and all that stuff. Mariner fans will get up onto their feet now and just give a hand to this team and the performance they've had here as we're down to the last out here for the A's. 7-0 in this game. Top of your lineup doing the work. Brian Wu showing you why he's one of many of a collection of bright young arms in this organization. Let's see here if Thornton can close this out. A little bit of chin music. Thornton already setting the stage for a little bit of intimidation for tomorrow's game. You know, we're not only going to beat you, we're going to intimidate you too. Don't think you got a chance against us. Don't think that. 2-0 count here. Ball 3. Dave Steeb. There's a name I haven't seen in a long time, William. And Mike Mussina with the knuckle curve back in the day. He had that. No one was throwing a knuckle curve. Only Mike Mussina. Holy hell! You talk about a tough ass pitch to throw. Your grip goes to the back end on it. So I think you go like, you curl your fingers up like this around it, and it comes around the back of the ball. Rather than you holding on the front side, you go to the back side of the ball with the fingers. It's so weird of a pitch to throw. Would I trade Wu for Wakefield? Tim Wakefield? No. I'm very anti-knuckleballers. Unless you're meaning a different Wakefield. Ball's hit up, skied in the center. Julio trying to get back on it. That will get up over his head there for a double. Julio gave it a good run there. Damn, Tim Wakefield played in 630 games. That's a lot. 200 wins, 180 losses, 22 saves. He played forever. All right. All one here from Thornton. Mariners have 12 shutouts this season, trying to preserve this one if they can. Come on, kid. Let's put this to bed. Come set. Strike. Voodoo Magic says, remember Charlie Hoff? That dude looked like 60 years old on his rookie card and played over I can't quite see. It's got the heart thing in my dealer. He did play a long time. Those knuckleballers, they can play till they're 44, and your arm gets a little bit less. It doesn't really affect that pitch because it's a push pitch more than it's a throw pitch. So as long as you can keep pushing. This ball's hit up into the air. Right fielder Cade Marlowe is underneath it, and that will retire the side. Finish this game off in very fine fashion. The Mariners shut out the Oakland A's in the opening game of this series, continue their hot run, continue to stay at the top of this division, and hopefully hold on to it ever more through the rest of this given season. But a well-played game by your Seattle Mariners. Just kind of, again, what we've seen throughout the course of this year. Some timely home runs. There's a little bit of some other hitting in here, too. They managed 14 hits, which was a bit of an oddity for them in this particular game. They didn't strike out as much as we've seen them do here in recent times. 7 strikeouts to 4 walks. But great starting pitching, great work by the bullpen. You get the hitting on the front end, mainly on the back of the home runs, and you get some solid defense in there. This is the particular recipe for wins for this Mariner team, especially in this recent hot streak that they've had. And they continue it, tying now a Mariner record for 20 wins in August with that 2001 team. Very, very impressive what they've been able to do this season. The sense of resiliency that they've shown, how strong that they've stayed into this. They've gone through injuries. Guys like Crawford have gone down. Kelnick's gone down. They've been able to keep battling, keep fighting, keeping themselves going. And it's great to see here from this Mariner ball club. So 7-0. 7-0. Very, very good to see. Phil Necro's another one. Phil Necro, Charlie Huff, and Tim Wakefield. Those are your Mount Rushmore of knuckleballers to me. Those are the 3 guys. Played all 3 long years. Many a year. Williams says they had a horrible effort on batting with men in scoring position. Wasn't great tonight with that. Yep. Canzone had some moments here that weren't great tonight. The team's not always been awesome with the batting runners in scoring position at times in this lineup throughout the year. I wouldn't say that's something they've done necessarily really well. It's been all right and sometimes bad. This is a little bit of the nature of the live and die by the long ball and the way that they kind of run things out at times here with this team. But you get 7 runs on the board, no matter how you do it, you're going to expect to win, especially when you got the starting staff like we have in place doing what they're doing. That's for sure. Impressive win. Impressive win. D-Nugget, why is the whole state of Texas always breathing down our necks in the standings? It sucks, man. It'd be nice to win it nice and easy, but, whatever. We're here. We're up at top now. We're running hot. We're playing our best baseball. So let's see if we can take the next 2 games here from this A's team. Let's see if we can get what I'm terming the breathing room as we go into that final 3 series of the year, which will determine who wins this division. And if you can get that breathing room, that'd certainly help you so you don't have to feel like you got to play perfect ball to come out of those last couple of series to win this division. But Mariners stay hot. They stay right into the thick of it with this playoff competition as it's rolling down the line here. Not yet even turned into September. They might just set a record tomorrow with most wins in August. Worth definitely paying attention to. Saw Alex on broadcast last night. He said Piniella would hang him by his sack if he struck out with men on. Yeah, this is the thing I come back to at times, William, with the approach at the plate with them and running in scoring position and taking an intelligent approach. This is the little bit of the issue I have with Service at times with not, and some of this is the analytic age we live in, and don't play to the old style of method of playing and don't shorten your stroke. Don't just try to put the ball in play. Instead, swing like it's still 1 or 2 strikes. There's a lot of this that goes to this is the modern evolution of the sport. But Piniella would be driven crazy by it. I'm driven crazy by it at times. It especially gets stuck in my craw when you get into extra innings and you have a runner on second base and you need one run and you have a bullpen as good as you do and you go out there and you have guys swinging away with nobody out on that first batter, even a batter that's not a good hitter, even a batter that's not necessarily a real big threat with the stick. Bunt him over and then knock that guy in. Don't overthink this. But this is a bit of the old style of thinking, I guess, that's going away in Major League Baseball. YGK, what is the Mariners' average with runners in scoring position? I bet it's at least top 15. That could be wrong, though. It'd be interesting to check out and see. And they probably brought it up in the last month from where it was. I'd guess about a month ago it was near the bottom of the barrel, though. And maybe it's around now to mid-range respectability. Megan says, why are we getting good now and not earlier this year? Well, Megan, it's a little bit of like what we got to look at with the Seahawks team coming up this season. You have a very young team. and it's a young team that's very talented. But what you get with youth, and part of the reason why a lot of coaches at times don't want to roll out with youth 24/7, is that you have to go through the growing pains, the ups and the downs. And that means you're going to get inconsistency. And coaches want consistency. Fans want consistency. Teams want consistency. But you have to sometimes allow the young player to go through those inconsistent bumps in the road to get to the point of being then who they're going to be as a player. And this is why if this year Seahawks go a little bit sideways for us, Megan, we got to be patient with it, because this is what we might get with our young team this year. We might get some ups and we might get some downs sprinkled in with that, and that this is the process of building towards where you're trying to go to. Part of why that's one of the biggest keys with this team this upcoming season is the overcoming the youth aspect of things. Space, let's go Mariners. Did they lose? They did not lose. They pulled out the win today. Looked good doing so, and feeling pretty good about it. Feeling pretty doggone good. Middle of their streak, they were 0 for 17 with runners in scoring position and still won. There you go, William. Kind of my point on it. This team's not really built upon what they've done this year, hitting with runners in scoring position. It's the benefit you get of being home run centric is that, you just not really need the runners in scoring position. Just need a guy on first base. Give me an extra run from the home run when I hit it. And it's a part of the team that I'd love to see improve. The reason the runners in scoring position has been a problem not only this year, but if you look back on it, it's been an issue really for a couple of years, is because you have too many strikeout hitters in your lineup. You build a lineup of strikeout hitters and low average strikeout hitters at that point, then you're gonna have a lot of rallies die on the vine. Because guys are going to be whiffing. Even when you got a guy on third base with less than 2 outs, it ain't going to happen. At times you'll get a bad strikeout at a bad moment when that occurs because you've filled your lineup with too many guys that just don't make solid contact, put the ball in play. YK, I just have one thing to say. Remember, J.P. Crawford is terrible at bunting, so when he doesn't bunt, there's a reason. Can't bunt, can't steal. I guess I get that to a degree, but it still drives me nuts. Bunting is a skill that you can pick up and get better at. It's not that insanely hard. It's just oftentimes when I was in baseball and we had guys that couldn't bunt, it was because they didn't want to work at it. And, and William, it kills me too, man. It drives me absolutely insane about this because you play in a stadium that is built for small ball. If we were back in the bandbox kingdom, it would be something else. But we're not playing in a bandbox. You're playing in a stadium where you've got to play small ball by necessity, not by want, but by necessity. And the team at times just kind of goes, meh. Rudy says, we've been winning so much, any losing streak is going to seem like the end of the world. That's true, Voodoo. That's for true, man. They've been unconscionably hot, man. And it's been a fun ride to watch them go like they're going. It has indeed. Well, we will probably be back over on the Mariners on my Seahawks side of the channel tomorrow. I'm doing the B&B show later at 7 o'clock with Brendan. And I think I will also be doing an afternoon stream tomorrow for cut down day. So I'll probably go live and we can turn through and cut through what's going on with, maybe on with our Seahawks as far as that goes. So I believe I'll be on for a little bit of at least a short show tomorrow for the Seahawks side, then late show with Brendan. Over here on this side with the Crow's Nest, probably won't be back on here until maybe Saturday. Will be where we'll have to look at and see where we're on the schedule at that point. As I got some Seahawks stuff we're going to be doing on that side of it on the other side. Dave Parker says, hey, hell yeah, Mariners. Julio gave me the trident salute, and I gave him back the salute as he looked right at me during the Royals game. That was awesome, bro. Hell yeah, David. He is an awesome player to watch, and he's just so much fun, and it's great that he's going to be here for a long term. We're just getting started with this kid, We're just getting warmed up. And I got to go through this with Junior once before, and seeing him from the start of his career through his time here in Seattle, and it's such a fun ride to watch a superstar player like this rise like they do. It's a joy, man, but that's lucky of you to be able to pull that and give him the nod, man. That'd been awesome. Voodoo, the norm has been 8 straight, so 4 more wins before that loss. There we go, Voodoo. We got 4 more wins before we get to that lost part. D-Nugget, are we showing any signs of a sustainability for a true playoff run? I mean, you play defense, you got great starting pitching, and you got a good bullpen. That'll always give you sustainability for a playoff run. whether the team hits or not is going to be the key here. And the hitting can go completely into the tank at times, as we've seen this season, or it can be one of the better lineups you'll find in baseball. But it does seem to oscillate between those two extremes. So it's a bit hard to predict as whether or not that come playoff time, that's going to be hitting on all cylinders like that at that point. We'll just have to see. But they're the hottest team in baseball post All-Star break, no denying that, and they aren't showing any signs of slowing down anytime soon. No worries, Megan, if you can't make it tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty chill stream, pretty quick stream probably, so it's all good. All right, folks, well, we will go ahead and wrap this up at this point. Thank you for checking it out. Do me a favor, hit that like button on your way on out of the building. We will be back, I think, about Saturday or so. I appreciate everybody watching. The chat was lively as ever, so thank you for that. And I appreciate you guys for watching as you do. It's great to see our Mariners just cook right along. Let's see if they can keep it going here. Maybe get a series sweep against this A's team. Let me be greedy as we start to turn our way towards September, the final month of the season here in baseball, regular season-wise. See what this team can do, see what they can pull out. David Parker, thank you for subscribing to the channel, man. I appreciate you jumping aboard the Hawks Nest. Welcome aboard as you are. And we will be doing this again as we get down the stretches. So I can fit these in between the football channel. I'll definitely be getting more of these live streams in as I can. So hang in there with me on that, you guys. I appreciate you guys, though. Back here soon. Hope you guys have a good night. But please do not